partly cloudy and 65 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:02. A red flag warning is out for much of the state today. That means dry and windy conditions mixed with low humidity are prime for starting wildfires.
So essentially what that means is conditions are favorable for fires to get out of control quickly. So we really recommend that people, if they don't have to burn outdoors today, to not do so and to be a little careful with any flammable objects outside.
Andrew White with the National Weather Service. Showers move in late tonight, though, and some possible storms. 6 people shot in the span of 12 hours overnight. 3 of the victims are dead. One man, Randy Hinkle, shot and killed near Dexter and West 21st. A teenage boy also killed near 38th and Post near a bus stop where kids were getting on the bus to school. Police looking for suspects. Indiana will have more money to work with over the next 2 years than previously thought.
Finally, state general fund revenues year-to-date are 2% above the December 2022 forecast and 4.9% above the same period in fiscal 2022.
Krista Ricci, senior fiscal analyst for the Senate Republican caucus. In English, the state is expected to have an extra $1.5 billion coming in tax revenue. Lawmakers have less than 2 weeks to hammer out the next 2-year budget. Your senator in Washington, Todd Young, is demanding action on fentanyl. Donnie Burgess reports.
Young says American teenagers should be more concerned with graduating high school and getting prepped for college, not winding up in the local obituary due to fentanyl. He says one major step can be taken by the White House.
President Biden and his administration secure the border now.
Young says cracking down on fake pill sales on apps like TikTok and Snapchat would also be a big help. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway will be a busy place today. In about an hour or so, IndyCar drivers will begin an open test session to start dialing in their cars for the Indianapolis 500. It's a good time for new drivers to get rookie orientation out of the way. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
All right, Kurt, northbound 37, stop-and-go traffic, Epler to 465. That is because of construction. Roadway reduced to 1 lane under the bridge at I-465, and you know that's I-69 project there. Looking at northbound 465 on the east side, a little slow around Penn Pike, and I'm told we have a construction barrel on the north side, westbound 465. Between Ditch and Michigan Road, it's kind of blowing around the interstate because it's not weighted down. Please be careful. Traffic sponsored by LASIK. LASIK Plus. Take the first step towards LASIK and score a great deal at LASIK Plus today. Get 20% off LASIK in April. That could be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing. Visit mylasicoffer.com for details. I'm Matt Baer with Traffic on the 5s. Follow us on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zero Res, and it's that time of year when our homes just need a good cleaning to get the winter crud out of the carpets, floors, and upholstery. You've changed your furnace filters, but have you cleaned the carpets? The carpets are literally the largest air filter in your home, and if you want to eliminate dust, allergens, and irritants that'll drive your allergies crazy, how about getting them Zero Res cleaned? Right now, Zero Res is offering 20% off carpet and upholstery cleaning, and that'll give your home a real fresh beginning as you go full steam into allergy season. Zero Res uses their unique cleaning technology with the electrolyzed ZR water to perfectly clean your floors and more. It cleans your carpets and floors without soapy residue. Soapy residue means things get dirtier quicker, and the ZR water prevents that from happening because it attracts the dirt and allergens and irritants by itself. If you call Zero Res today and mention WIBC, you get a full 20% discount on cleaning your carpets and upholstery. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, call 388-5141 or visit ZeroResIndy.com.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Mostly sunny, very breezy, very warm. Today's high 82. We'll see a return of scattered showers and storms late tonight into the overnight. Breezy, a low of 51. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
66 and partly cloudy on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Well, good morning. It is Thursday, April 20th. It is 7 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. His name is Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels. And we are so grateful that you're joining us today. You can follow along on YouTube if you'd like to watch. Just type in Kendall and Casey into the YouTube search bar. So we start off the show by talking about Kevin. Not Kevin McNamara. We're going to get to him later.
It's Kev's special day is on the horizon.
It's a full Kevin show today. Right now, though, we're talking about the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy. Oh, bad Kevin.
Is that good sound effects? Could I be a track on the back of a sitcom? Boo.
Kevin McCarthy has unveiled a plan to raise the nation's debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion and also cut federal spending by 3 times that amount. He's laying out his position, his plan. All that's left is the negotiating with bumbling Biden.
Okay, Casey. Now, you know, last night as I was laying out this template, there was nothing that ruined my evening more than realizing I was going to have to come in here on this beautiful Thursday morning and tell people that...
You were right.
I don't even want to say the words, Casey.
Yes, you do.
You know, Casey, what it does to me internally. I had to sleep on this. I had to spend the entire night. I was tossing and turning. I woke up numerous times in a drenched sweat, fearful that I was going to have to come on these airwaves. Now, it's weird because we're told all the time no one listens, but yet the ratings say in the money demo we're number 1. So you don't know. Is it nobody? Are we number 1? You know, who knows? Science versus the politicians. Whatever it is, for the 7 or 7,000 or 70,000 or however many people are listening right now, and tell everybody how I was exactly right about who Kevin McCarthy was, what the Republicans are, and they're doing everything we told you they were going to do, in which they are going to roll over on this debt ceiling. They're going to approve raising the debt ceiling. They're going to get meaningless, inconsequential spending cuts without addressing anything related to entitlement reform. Thank you. Hi, good night, everybody. I'm done here.
No, you're not. Okay, he says that he wants to take all of the spending back to 22 levels and cap growth at 1% annually for years to come.
Back all the way back to 2022 levels.
All the way back.
Back in the fiscally responsible good old days. Why don't we just call it the Clinton era?
Okay, so he says that his plan would repeal green energy incentives. It would boost domestic oil and gas production, and it would scrap $400 billion in student loan transfer.
But it doesn't do anything to the nation's debt. In fact, it raises the nation's debt. It continues the things that are a primary driver of the nation's debt. It's the equivalent of, and look, I'm not a medical expert, so I am freewheeling this, and some doctor right now is throwing a cup of juice at his radio as I poorly describe this. But it is though you are just simply, you have some sort of serious illness, and there is some way for a day to momentarily mask the illness or chop the top of the illness off and go, hey, we dealt with the illness. Have a nice day, everyone. And then 3 days later, the illness is back because you did not get to the root cause of the issue. And this is exactly what I told you they were going to do. Is they were going to do some sort of or propose. Now, they're not even going to get this because Biden's not going to give it to them, and the Republicans are weak, and they'll just roll over. Now, they're not going to get it. But.
Very good point, because this is where they're starting. It's not where they're ending.
Right. They're not even going to get this, and Biden knows it, and Biden knows they're weak, and so that is why Biden is ignoring Kevin McCarthy. But let's just operate from the standpoint if they were to actually get what they're proposing. And by the way, these people are terrible business people. You never propose the bare minimum. You always propose way beyond what you would actually accept, and then you negotiate to what you would accept. But let's just operate that they would get this. It does nothing to long-term solve the nation's debt. It does nothing to pay off debt. It does nothing to curb inflation. And the biggest part of all of this, it does nothing to address entitlements, which are going bankrupt. And it will be here sooner rather than later, folks. The can has been kicked about as far as it can be kicked. Government's own estimates saying Social Security somewhere between 2033 and 2035. And we just sit here and go, well, it would look bad in an ad, so entitlement reform off the table.
Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to try and work on it because they know the attack ad against them will come out. And here's the thing. You're going to be hearing how they're working on cutting the debt ceiling, lowering the debt ceiling. But in reality, it's a $1.5 trillion increase.
Yes, in your nation's debt. And as Todd Young and Mitch McConnell have proven based on the last time when they cut the legs out from under the Republicans in December, and as Todd Young told me as he moved very aggressively towards me at the Stacks Pancake House, as I was forced to not only deal with Todd Young, but also Igor, his evil, awful assistant who was trying to film the whole encounter, they're not stopping spending the money. This is never ending. The only way it's going to end is if you do not raise the debt ceiling. This is your only opportunity to stop the out-of-control spending, which even if you don't care at all about future generations, you don't care about your kids, your grandkids, your grandkids, grandkids, your grandkids, grandkids, grandkids. I mean, that's who we're talking about is going to be paying this. It's hurting you because it's driving up the price of everything you're buying. Mm-hmm. And they have told us, Todd told me as he moved aggressively with that big, burly, armed deputy right behind him, I'm never stopping.
I'm not stopping.
And he told me directly, he said specifically, entitlement reform, Todd Young will never vote for any sort of entitlement reform. So what are we doing here? We're doing exactly what Rob said. And here's the big question. When will professional tough guy Jim Banks, who voted for Kevin McCarthy 15 times, and he told Tony, and he told Hammer and Nigel, and he told Tony Kennett, no, he won't come on the show, but he told the other shows how great McCarthy was and what a fighter he was going to be, and we should have faith in him. When is he going to sit his ass down in this chair between 9 and noon and say, Rob, you were right for being critical of me for voting for him because I was wrong. He's doing exactly what you said.
Okay, so we're hearing a lot about this right now. And this $1.5 trillion increase, which is proposed by McCarthy, is only going to cover the government's needs until early next year. So this is key. We're going to be doing this whole thing again.
Of course we are.
In 2024, right in the middle of a presidential election season.
Okay, so here is a clip of McCarthy saying adding hundreds of billions to the nation's debt is responsible. Now, he doesn't say it that way, but that's what he's saying. And Casey, when you listen to this guy speak, if he were in high school, wouldn't he be the guy that gets stuffed in the locker or has his head flushed down a toilet? I mean, seriously, this is the guy that's our chief negotiator. No wonder we always lose. Just listen to this little weasel.
Now that we've introduced a clear plan for a responsible debt limit increase, they have no more excuse and refuse to negotiate. I think the Senate can honor maple syrup and basketball teams and negotiate on a debt ceiling at the same time. We owe it to the American people to use this moment in history to deliver the future they want, need, and deserve. House Republicans have a plan. The Senate does not. And the president is ignoring the debt crisis. President Biden has a choice. Come to the table and stop playing partisan political games. Or cover his ears, refuse to negotiate, and risk bumbling his way into the first default in our nation's history.
Someone pay attention
I
to
urge
me.
all my colleagues
I'm yelling
on both sides.
That's all I can take of him. Was that not an accurate assessment of what we just heard there?
You think he's going to get a wedgie? Atomic wedgie.
Why do we always pick losers like this guy?
Okay, now what's going to happen if they don't agree? It's going to get a downgrade of the government's credit rating. And when are they going to vote on this? Keeping in mind, they're going to have to do it again in a year.
Look, again, it comes back to this is who the Republicans are. This is why I gave up on these people a long time ago. And if you're hearing my voice now, you should too. It doesn't matter what they tell you. It doesn't matter what they promise you. It doesn't matter what campaign pledge they make. This is what you always get. They're voting to add another $1.5 trillion to the nation's debt. And it will go beyond that because we'll be back here, as you said, in several months, and they'll do the same thing over and over again. And he'll get on the floor, he being Kevin McCarthy, and he'll go, beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. And we'll just keep doing this little exercise. And I want, and everyone should want, an explanation from Jim Banks on why he thought this guy, because Jim Banks, smartest guy in any room he's ever in, told us, oh, Kevin's the guy. He's a fighter. He's a tough guy. I know Kevin McCarthy. And we got stabbed in the back once again. So, Jim, I know you listen. I know you people listen. Get your ass in here and let's have a conversation. And you can just say, Rob, I am sorry for throwing my full-fledged support and all my weight behind a guy who, when he negotiates, sounds like... He
tweeted out House Republicans have a plan for a responsible debt ceiling increase. The Senate does not. President Biden cannot continue to ignore this crisis. It's time for him to come to the table or risk bumbling into the first default in our nation's history. Okay, so have we heard from President Biden?
We have. And Casey, there is a new level of ridiculous. I even this one for Biden, I can't. You're going to have to lead the next segment because we're going to play the audio. It is so unbelievable. We are a nation run by just morons.
Okay. Well, his response is that he can't spell the number 8. EIGHT, the number 8. Take a listen.
But we have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average tax rate they pay? 8, EIGH%. 8%.
One more time. Kev, can you fire that up again? Because we're running real long on this segment, but we've got to make sure that everyone heard that. And then I'll have a brief comment, and then we'll go to a break. Kev, please.
But we have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average tax rate they pay? 8, EIGH%. 8%.
8%.
Casey, in this business, we are supposed to have a take.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to have a hot take.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have something that's going to galvanize the audience, entertain the audience, inform the audience.
Yeah.
You
got nothing?
I have nothing. It wasn't like it was, some confusing word with multiple letters that are the same at like Tennessee or Mississippi or something. You would say, well, that's kind of a bad look, but I could see how you would do that. 8.
EIGHT. It's 9:19. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Most of the state will be under a red flag fire warning.
93 WIBC.
Conditions are favorable for fire.
Wind gusts could reach nearly 40 miles an hour.
Be a little careful with any flammable objects outside.
Hear the news.
We had the storms in central Oklahoma, very large hail, and a couple of tornadoes.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as he's running for president.
Another update is just minutes away.
A clear plan for responsible debt limit increase.
It's about time they step up and start paying a fair share.
They have no more excuse and refuse to negotiate.
93 WIBC.
I don't like to walk downtown anymore. Only when I have to. Even during the day. There's so many out on the street, aggressive. I mean, I feel terrible for them. But at the same time, I don't feel safe. Every night, there's another story on the news. Another shooting, something violent. And it's not even in one area. It's all over the city. Just the other day, a woman was robbed at gunpoint at church. At church. I heard that so far this year, our murder rate is higher than Chicago. Chicago! I'm proud of Indianapolis. That's just not what I think of, what I think Indianapolis should be. The only thing I can think to do differently is I have to vote differently, starting now, until it gets better. So I'm going to vote for Shreve in May. Maybe Hogsett gets the message. Or maybe we get a new mayor in November.
Paid for by Shreve for mayor.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There's nothing more important than time. Time for you and time for family. If issues like high blood pressure or high cholesterol run in your family, make time for highly skilled heart care too. At Indiana University Health, you can book a same-day appointment with the state's most preferred provider of cardiovascular care. See a top cardiologist today. Then get back to what's most important without skipping a beat. Visit iuhealth.org/heart to book your appointment today.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full. Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Are you or a loved one a veteran of the United States of America? Are you aware what the PACT Act is? The PACT Act is a historic new law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. If this is you, join us in person at the Veterans Benefits and Resource Fair at the Johnson County National Guard Armory on Wednesday, April 26th from noon to 6 p.m. To learn more, follow VA Indianapolis on social media.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
He's out of control.
And Casey Daniels.
Isn't she the best?
On 93 WIBC.
924, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Trending this morning, the Foo Fighters. They have announced a new album is in the works. It will be the first one since the death of the band's drummer, Taylor Hawkins. It should be released sometime this summer. Also trending, Nikki Haley. She was at the border detailing the difference in the two border walls. One was begun to be built by Trump, the other by Biden. And as she's talking about the wall that the Biden administration erected, I want you to imagine a chain link fence, because that's what it is.
Because this is what the border was, and it actually did a pretty good job keeping people over. This is the wall of the last administration, and you can see it got bigger and it got taller and kept more out. This is the Biden fence. This is now what Biden has put up. It is literally, compare this to this. It's night and day. That's not going to stop anybody. All they've got to do is cut it up and come over. That's the problem you've got on the border. It's not a real border. It's not a border at all. We need to finish what we started. Whether it's this or this, we need something. But a chain link fence, that's not going to stop anybody. And that's why we see so many illegal immigrants coming across.
Also trending this morning, it's 420. Some say that 420 is code among police officers for marijuana smoking in progress.
That's what that means?
No. Others cite that it comes from a Bob Dylan song, Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35, because 12 multiplied by 35 equals 420.
That's what that means?
No, that's not where it comes from either. The most credible story traces the phrase 420 back to Marin County, California, Raphael High School. there were 5 students who would meet at 4:20 p.m. under the bleachers.
Sure.
And they would say to each other in the hallway, 420, and that was code to, hey, we're going to meet under the bleachers and we're going to smoke a doobie, right?
Wait, 420 is for marijuana?
Yes.
Interesting little fact.
By the way, time out before you make this point. Kev, Kev is a very mild-mannered individual. He's very polite. He's very reserved. When he heard 420, he literally grabbed the microphone, started shaking it, and aggressively bowed up into his chair. He started waving his arms. Please, call on me.
I can contribute. What is the interesting fact?
Yes, Kev, go.
The interesting fact is that the lead singer of Viagra Boys went to that high school.
Okay.
Was he one of the guys?
He was not one of the guys, but he has contributed to the holiday of 420.
Well, one of the 5 guys that started the phrase 420 at this high school ended up working with Grateful Dead bassist Phil Lesh. And so then the Grateful Dead picked up the phrase 420.
Wait.
And then it was picked up by a writer for High Times magazine.
Time out. You said something there, and I have no way to believe this is true. The Grateful Dead were into smoking marijuana?
I know, hard to believe.
You be quiet, woman.
I'm not making it up. So this article was written in High Times magazine back in 1991, and they referenced the story about the 5 boys in the high school and how they would say 420, and that's how it took off. So if you hear someone say 420 today, just know that it comes from a high school in California.
And just because you will never smoke marijuana or ingest THC or whatever doesn't mean that you have to prevent others, especially even for medical needs, from getting it if it helps them. You can support medical marijuana and not be a marijuana user yourself. It's not an either-or equation. So on this day, if that is something that you partake in, just don't do it around me and just have a nice day. All right, when we come back, you may have heard yesterday, Casey, it came out that the Indiana General Assembly 3 years later is putting together a 2-year committee to investigate the governor during COVID, what he did during COVID, which is great because they'll be done with their investigation by the time he's no longer the governor. Right. So that seems like the most government thing ever. Jim Merritt, who spent 30 years in the Indiana Senate, is going to join us. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Republicans in the Senate extending a giant middle finger to the taxpayers on property tax relief. That and a whole bunch more.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We continue to save our new customers 30 to 40% when compared to their present individual or small group coverages. Many of our plans feature 0 deductible and 0 copays, coverage guaranteed to age 65, and the largest network in the nation with 2 A-rated companies. We've been in the same location, the same phone number for 27 years. We'll be here when you need us. My early mentor in the insurance business was fond of saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always have what you always had. If you're unhappy with your present coverage and price, stop doing what you've always done. Call us at 317-435-1718 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-435-1718 or rragency.org. Thought for the day. If our country's such an awful place, why do millions come here to be free? God bless America, or at least what she used to be.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
His plan to fix finances. It's partly cloudy and 66 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy unveiling a Republican plan to raise the U.S. debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion.
Would responsibly raise the debt limit into next year and provide more than $4.5 trillion in savings to the American taxpayer.
Speaking from the House floor, McCarthy also wants to roll back new IRS funding and do away with President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. Congress needs to raise the debt limit in the coming months to avoid defaulting on the nation's debt. A tornado blamed for the deaths of at least 2 people in a tiny town south of Oklahoma City. The McLean County Sheriff's Office saying that more deaths are possible as search and rescue efforts continue in Cole, where a tornado roared through on Wednesday. Emergency experts say that there are reports of injuries and people trapped in shelters. And now the stock report, another bad start to the day. The Dow was down 161 to 33,872. The Nasdaq down 124 to 13,058. And the S&P 500 is down 31 to 4,147. I'm Kurt Darling on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Everyone knows that soaking in Epsom salts can make you feel better. Now imagine soaking in Epsom salts in a Royal Spa hot tub.
Ah, Royal Spa. Hubler makes it easy to get your perfect car or truck. Get your vehicle your way. They'll help you pre-order a vehicle built just for you. Visit drivehubler.com.
Did you know that over 90% of male enhancement pills are virtually the same thing that's repackaged, redone over and over again? Why settle for the same old product when you can get something completely different? Something that takes male enhancement into the 21st century. Something that really works. Men, you need to try Noxitril, the explosive, all-natural male enhancement formula that will unlock your performance in the bedroom to a level you could only dream of. Try to imagine Viagra on steroids. Noxitril is so powerful, that's why it took years for it to finally become available to the public without a prescription. So call now and take advantage of our special Noxitril free bottle offer today. Oh yeah, we recommend that you use the Noxitril dose as directed. Think of your partner. We certainly don't want you to overperform in the bedroom.
Find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril. Call 800-490-7856. That's 800-490-7856. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-490-7856. 800-490-7856.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable gas and battery-powered tools, from trimmers to blowers. And you'll find service from experienced professionals. Real steel. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Doing more in the community means that I get out and I volunteer.
Hi, I'm Hannah Yeagerbush here at Teachers Treasures, and we nominated David Barabee because he's such a great volunteer leader. He does so much for us to make our mission possible to serve teachers in Marion County.
And I'm Jiffy Lube owner Jennifer Sanner. At Jiffy Lube, we are rewarding Hoosier volunteers who use their vehicle to do more to make Indiana a better place to live.
My vehicle really allows me the ability to be where they need me. Either downtown, at the store, or out on a route, or working for the mobile operation.
Each month, Jiffy Lube of Indiana provides a volunteer free vehicle maintenance for a year, whether it's someone who delivers smiles and supplies or drives somewhere to serve on site. Jiffy Lube supports local givers who count on their car to do more for Indy, and we love to hear their stories.
If you know a volunteer who impacts your community, nominate them today to receive a year's worth of free vehicle maintenance. Just click the Do More tab at JiffyLubeIndiana.com.
Amber and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Well, you don't like the way I walk. You don't like the way I talk. You criticize.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Hey, look who it is. Here once again to talk about the complete and utter underachievement from the Indiana General Assembly. He spent 30 years there. He knows them better than anyone. Jim Merritt, how are you, my friend?
Good morning, Robert. Casey?
All right, so you've got to at least be mildly amused/pleased. The Indiana General Assembly has passed a bill that says 3 years later, and the investigation will be completed year after Holcomb's out of office, but we're going to finally investigate the governor and what happened during COVID.
Yeah, investigation is a tough word for one branch of government investigating another. The government of the state of Indiana owes an explanation to the 6.6 million Hoosiers of actually what has happened for the last couple of years. But they're going about it a terrible direction. Casey, we've talked about this on the show before. That we need to know what we struggled with. The Holcomb administration was flying blind because nobody knew what they were going to do because the Trump administration handed it off to the states. What kind of equipment? We had masks. We had, we 6 feet. People were washing their hands. But we need an explanation. We, the public of the state of Indiana, have to have an explanation of why there are 31 executive orders, why we did what we did, and how we struggled, and what good things came out of it. And it needs to be comprehensive. And also, Representative Jeter, bless his heart, they have 12 members on this. You have to have a slot for local government. You have to have a slot for the governor's administration.
What about the people? Why are there slots for the people? There's always slots for the government.
Robert, you didn't let me answer. And also, you have to have some layman from the public so that we know, and you're getting to a big amount of people, large amount of people on this commission. But we need to go forward and see what we did wrong, see what we did right. And so when it happens again, and it will happen again, ladies and gentlemen.
Bite your tongue.
Well, yeah, but you got to anticipate. You got to see in front of your headlights. You got to figure out. We owe it to the state of Indiana, the people of the state of Indiana. Hoosiers need to know what happened, what went right, what went wrong.
Okay, you started off and you said it's one branch of the government investigating another branch, but for the 728 days that the state was shut down, the Republicans had a majority. So isn't it supermajority? So isn't this a case of cannibalization? And isn't it a little too late to be proactive? Shouldn't they have looked at this stuff before now?
Absolutely. And I love that word today, by the way. And
which one?
The cannibalization.
Cannibalization. The one that I can barely say, that's your favorite.
It's the story of Jim Merritt's electoral career. That's how he stayed in the Senate for 30 years. He cannibalized the competition.
Okay,
well, no, it's because I know you.
But back to the question. Okay, so they're investigating their own, right? Mm-hmm. And shouldn't they
they're
have
not investigating their own. They consider themselves almost a wall between the governors, the administration, and the legislature, and it is late. This should have happened last year. We've gone through two budgets in 2021 and 2023 now, which are 2-year budgets, and we really haven't looked at ourselves. And this is late, but it is the case that it needs to be exposed exactly what happened during that time. So when it happens again, we can deal with it.
Jim Merritt is our guest, 30 years in the Indiana Senate. We're talking about this bill, Senate Bill 4, which should now finally begin a 2-year process, 3 years after it happened, of trying to figure out what happened in during COVID. And we talked about this on State House Happenings. This really shouldn't be all that hard, Jim. The Indiana General Assembly did absolutely nothing as the governor shut down the state, put 1 million people out of work, closed tens of thousands of businesses. Many of them never reopened. Those that did open, many of them were finally forced to close because they couldn't make it back. The governor tried to put you in jail for not wearing a mask. Again, the reoccurring theme here is the General Assembly did nothing. Investigate yourselves.
Well, also, a little-known fact is the federal government has been sending monies, pandemic monies, through the federal budget since 2003. That means 17 years they sent monies to the state of Indiana for a pandemic, and we don't know that. I can't tell you the amount. I'm having it researched right now, and we didn't do anything about it. And the executive orders, 31 of them, and it was the legislature gave the governor's office a fiat back in Mitch Daniels' term as governor. That should have been sunset. That law, the legislature should have been at the table with the governor of the state of Indiana on this during this horrific time, and it should have, policies should have been reviewed every 90 days so that you don't have bars and restaurants shut down in Marion County, but they're open in Hamilton County.
I am not going to use the phrase I used yesterday to describe Chris Jeter, who I believe wrote the bill.
It's amendment.
Yeah, I think
Amendment to Senate Bill 40 for those.
I think I told him to, quote, shove it up his backside.
Ooh.
I'm not going to use that phrase today because Jeter's wife is very nice. And look, I'm not going to hold her accountable because she's married to him.
Well, also, Jeter is a veteran, and we appreciate his
service. So was
service.
John McCain. He was a crappy politician. You don't get a free pass about screwing people over and doing a crappy job as an elected official just because you wore the uniform. Thank you for that. Yeah. But these are two different discussions here. And Jeter and these Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate, they suck at their jobs. They don't care about us at all. And, oh, yeah, I'm sure they're really going to put the screws to Holcomb. And what good does it do? He's going to be out of office by the time they're done.
This has to be a comprehensive report card to the state of Indiana on exactly what happened, what we're going to do right next time, how we struggled, and the idea of shutting down businesses for that amount of time is just ridiculous.
I may be wrong, but I believe that Michigan has rescinded the emergency executive orders that the governor is allowed to do.
That should happen tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, what needs to take place for that to happen? We got to wait for 2 years after this investigation?
Well, it should happen. They're still in session. It should happen. Should be tagged onto a bill, amended into a bill right now.
And I don't know. Real quick, Jim, let me ask you. They know this, right? It's not like they're sitting around going, "We didn't know we could do that." They absolutely know they could do that.
They know, and what needs to happen?
Committee
define. Emergency, and we did that back with Governor Daniels. You just terminate it. You sunset it, and it needs to happen because the legislature is the boots on the ground. They go to the grocery, they go to the church, they go to the gym. They are right there with constituents, and they know more so than the governor's office, and this needs to be terminated.
Real quick, before I let you go, Jim Merritt, our guest, Casey and I talked about this at length the other day. Didn't think they would actually follow through on it, but gosh darn it, Jim, they did. They said, don't threaten us with a good time. They being the Indiana Senate Republicans. They passed a budget with no property tax relief whatsoever. Why do your former friends hate their constituents so much?
It goes back to it has to be a crisis. And
this isn't a crisis?
Well, the legislature obviously doesn't think it's a crisis because if it was a crisis, they'd be sending everybody a check. They've got the data, Casey.
And the money.
And the money.
The surplus.
And the surplus. And we're rocking and rolling with money in the state of Indiana. And it would be easy. It would be easy. We talked about it on the podcast to have a credit in November. Recognize there's a problem. And they haven't done so. There's been a lot of lip service at the State House on this issue. Nothing's happened, Casey and Rob, and it's disappointing.
Why though? They pay. Are they just so rich because they make so much being lawmakers? I mean, I guess $70,000 to work 4 days out of the week for 3 months out of the year. That's a pretty good part-time gig.
You remember when the teachers hit the State House with all those red shirts?
Which time?
Well, they
spend more time here than they do teaching.
They spend a lot of time at the State House, and the salaries are going up. There was a commission that had a lot of evidence that we're not paying your teachers enough, and their salaries are going up. Constituents, Hoosiers, don't have the time to go to the State House to put their claim in, and as well as there's a lot of confusion that a mayor of Indianapolis or anywhere else has anything to do with. It's a confusing system. There's really no idea of where to protest, either being the State House or City Hall. And so with that, there's confusion. With confusion, you don't get results.
So I'm thinking, in case maybe we'll talk about this later in the show, maybe we need to organize something, and I bet we could get some people to help us out with that because we talked about
organize is the key word.
Well,
there.
so we talked about this on State House Happenings. Nikki Kelly told us yesterday the problem is they're getting the emails, they're getting the phone calls. When people see them out, they're saying something, but there's not this angry mob of people with color-coordinated shirts screaming at them, which I guess, and this is pathetic, but to the Jerry Torr, Chris Jeter, Kyle Walker, and
Jeff
Thompson. I mean, everyone, they all suck. Every one of them sucks. It's unbelievable. Republican supermajorities, and not a damn one of them is doing anything for the people. You got to go there and you got to scream at them in person.
That protest puts it in crisis stage. That's the only time you're going to get results.
All right. You got some event you're working on? What is it?
I am, and through the years, I've worked in the addiction space and just knowing people who have gone through crises in their lives. And I'm having an event on Saturday where people will come and talk about and share their ideas on how they've had a family loss through a suicide or some sort of overdose. And we're going to ask them how they responded. And, people, when they lose someone, they don't want that loss to be the last thing. They want to talk about the great things of their kid's life. And these individuals have started their own foundation, and we're going to talk to them about, and they're going to share ideas on how they can use their grief for good.
What is it public? Can the public come?
Well, I suggest and I urge people to contact me through Jim @Jim_Merritt, or on Facebook and talk about your loss. And people are welcome to come and share ideas. One fella has a softball tournament. One person has a golf outing. We all know the Finblooms who lost their son, Brett. They put their soul into the Lifeline Law Awareness campaign. And so it's a way for people to share
Merritt,
their
when
grief.
is it? Where is it? If people want to go, that's what I'm asking
it's 10
you.
o'clock, 10 o'clock, Old Oakland Golf Course. And
that's all I need at 10 o'clock, Old
cup of
Oakland Golf
coffee.
Course. You want to know more? Jim_Merritt on Twitter. We got to go. Thank you, my friend.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Hey, Rob.
Yes, Casey.
Here's the question of the morning for you.
I love questions.
Imagine you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. Would you be excited about that?
That is awesome. Can you tell me more?
Yes, I can. If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. And if you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus. You can learn how you can get your 35% bonus from Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
You know, Casey, we believe in Bill so much. We became clients too. You know us. Our name is Kendall and Casey. And right now, not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years and has $2.5 trillion in assets.
To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. That's Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy. 317-932-9912.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, just yesterday, Alvin Bragg had the loss. Today, Jim Jordan has the loss. So what's going on with the subpoena? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Indiana has a long history of pioneering education freedom and empowering families. Families who know what's best for their children. But as universal education freedom sweeps the nation in states like Iowa, Arizona, Arkansas, West Virginia, Utah, and Florida, Hoosiers are at risk of being left behind unless we act now. Indiana lawmakers have an opportunity to ensure all Hoosiers can exercise their right to decide what education is best for their child, where they learn, how they learn. The time is now for Indiana to regain its status as a leader by delivering universal access to education freedom for every Hoosier. The time is now for Indiana to ensure our children get the education they deserve, so they can compete with every state in America and every country around the globe. Contact your state senator today and tell them now is the time to put our kids first and pass universal school choice. Paid for by Yes Every Kid.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey, and let's talk about Galaxy Concrete Coating for indoor and outdoor concrete. Whether it's for your garage, custom floor coating, driveway, pool deck, even the patio, they can do it all. And here's a review. As a realtor, I tour hundreds of homes each year, and I always have admired garages that were finished and had coated floors. It looks great, stays cleaner, it feels soft on your feet, and it actually protects the concrete from cracking. All true. Call Galaxy Concrete Coating today. 317-751-9070, or they're online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Your home is your sanctuary, and the first step to peace of mind is controlling your power with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer, Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just a away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
950 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So President Biden, while he's been in charge, a lot of things have happened to the U.S. economy. You've got the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. You've got a recession. You've got interest rates rising. You've got a commercial real estate crisis. You have big tech eliminating 150,000 jobs. However, Biden's been bragging, saying how great the economy is and how he's creating all of these jobs, which is easy to do when you eliminate them and close everything down and then reopen and say, look at these jobs I've created.
Yeah, so earlier in the show, we played you, he could not spell 8 anymore. He spelled
the number 8.
E-I-G-H.
Mm-hmm.
E-I-G-H is how he now spells 8.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same speech, this guy can't speak. He can't form coherent sentences. He can't form coherent thoughts. Again, everybody misspeaks. But it is multiple times in speeches that he's reading from teleprompters. He says things every single, this is the president.
End quote.
So here in the same speech where he couldn't spell 8, he brags about creating 12,000 jobs in 2 years, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
12,000.
Yeah.
We've created more than 12,000 brand new jobs in 2 years. That's more than any president in American history has created in 4 years.
12,000? Congratulations, dude.
It's a country.
He misspoke again.
It's a country of 330 million people. And you'd think even, okay, sometimes the prompter's hard to read, whatever. You would be reading and going, nah, we've created way more than 12,000 jobs. That's ridiculous. I'm going to just free wheel a number here. I'm going to say 120 million or, whatever, some big number. But he's so out of it that he just rolls with it. We created 12,000 jobs. And that's, can we play that again? That's more than how many years? What?
We've created more than 12,000 brand new jobs in 2 years. That's more than any president in American history has created in 4 years.
Wouldn't you have a pause and go, no, that is not right. I misspoke. I misread. But he's slurring his words. He sounds like he's about to doze off.
Mm-hmm.
So you got he can't spell 8. You've got that he thinks 12,000 jobs is some sort of record.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Casey,
yeah,
I'm just going to play you this audio and tell me if him whispering moon is not something straight out of a horror movie.
I want to remind everyone, America invented this computer chip. We invented it by investing in going to the moon a while ago, okay?
Moon a while ago. Can we just, one more time?
We went to the moon.
I want to remind everyone, America invented this computer chip. We invented it by investing in going to the moon a while ago, okay?
We went to the moon. He's doing the creepy whisper thing.
In every horror movie, there is some creepy old man usually sitting on a porch, and Joe Biden has become that guy.
Mm-hmm. He reminds me of the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they open the Ark and the one guy's face melts off. That's Joe Biden to me. But speaking of him, Marjorie Taylor Greene says that he and his family are running a criminal enterprise, and that includes bribery, money laundering, and even sex trafficking.
We just finished reviewing the financial records in the Treasury. What I saw was over 2,000 pages of jaw-dropping information. There's basically an enterprise wrapped around Joe Biden, involving not only multiple family members, more than we thought there were, but other people as well. Just a complete conglomerate of LLC shell companies where money was passing through from foreign countries, China, Ukraine, but many more countries than just those. There's a lot of information the American people deserve to know of the Biden family and the crimes they've been involved in.
Okay, so when are we going to hear it? When are we going
to... Moon, Casey, moon.
When are they going to do something?
8, E-I-G-H, 12,000 jobs. It's a new track record.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
Announcing Palavana Cubano, the newest and tastiest Cuban sandwich restaurant in Indy. Located in the Garage Food Hall in the Battle Works District, Palavana Cubano is dedicated to serving authentic, mouth-watering Cuban sandwiches, coffee, and pastries. If you have never tried a Cuban, you're in for a treat. A warm and inviting atmosphere with colorful decor that pays tribute to the vibrant culture of Cuba. For a quick lunch or relaxing dinner with friends, Palavana Cubano is the perfect destination.
There's nothing more important than time. Time for you and time for family. If issues like high blood pressure or high cholesterol run in your family, make time for highly skilled heart care too. At Indiana University Health, you can book a same-day appointment with the state's most preferred provider of cardiovascular care. See a top cardiologist today, then get back to what's most important without skipping a beat. Visit iuhealth.org/heart to book your appointment today.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today. Today.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Coming up in 2 minutes, where a half dozen people were shot throughout the city overnight and how police are taking it. Plus, why a fire outside is a bad idea today. And also, that and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
Success, then failure. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. For SpaceX, launching the world's biggest and most powerful rocket ever about a half hour ago in Texas. But then a few minutes into the flight, the Starship's first test and the unmanned mission failed, exploding. The hope, though, is to someday use the ship to send astronauts to Mars. There's a lot of damage around Oklahoma City. The morning after tornadoes tore through, killing people in the hard-hit community of Cole, 2 of them. Shawnee also got it bad. A lot of trees down and damaged homes and cars.
All the windows are shattered. There's actually a stick in the passenger door. It looks like somebody shot it with a gun, but it's a stick smaller than my pinky.
Becca Ingram manages a pizza place where she gave people shelter as the twisters rage. There are more than 17,000 power outages. House Republicans already investigating President Biden's son's business dealings. Now want to probe what an IRS agent seeking whistleblower status alleges that the Biden administration is thwarting a tax investigation into Hunter Biden.
This is very troubling, and it certainly comes on the follow-on to the Biden campaign having used former members of the intelligence community to classify the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation.
Congressman Mike Turner also chairs the House Intel Committee and is starting a joint investigation with the Armed Services Committee, probing the Defense Department over the leaks of classified intelligence.
And the other aspect that we learned yesterday, which there's bipartisan outrage for, is really the extent of which clearance awards, clearance investigations are not conducted.
The accused leaker, Jack Teixeira, jailed 21-year-old Massachusetts Air National Guardsman, is accused of posting classified documents online. Moments ago, another Republican state put restrictions on transgender health care. The governor signed a bill that criminalizes health care providers who give gender-affirming care to people under the age of 18. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Violent night, 69 and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Kurt Darling for Stockyards Bank. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Emotions running high among families and police in Indianapolis. 6 people shot in the span of 12 hours overnight. 3 people killed.
They have every right to be frustrated. They have every right to be upset. They have every right to have a heightened state of emotion right now. They just lost someone precious to them.
IMPD officer Simone Burris talking about the family of one man shot and killed near Dexter and West 21st. Not long after that this morning, a teenage boy was shot and killed near a bus stop off of the 38th and Post. No suspects to speak of in any of the shootings. It'll be a windy day today in most places.
It's going to be windy as well. So anytime we have these red flag conditions, we're often windy. So we're going to have wind gusts in the Indianapolis area, 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Andrew White with the National Weather Service. A red flag warning means that you should not burn anything outside today. The state will have an extra $1.5 billion to work with in the next 2 years. Lawmakers were briefed on the latest revenue forecast from the state budget agency on Wednesday as they reconcile on a budget. The lanes of I-65 were shut down Wednesday afternoon. Harrison Silcox reports on what caused the backup.
State police say a semi was heading southbound on I-65 in southwest Clinton County when, for an unknown reason, it crossed the median and collided head-on with another semi. The 2 trucks caught on fire. The driver of the semi headed north died at the scene. The other drivers in the hospital. Both lanes of the interstate were briefly shut down. The northbound lanes were expected to be closed beyond midnight. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
He's had a lot of injuries, so is retirement on the mind of Colts linebacker Shaq Leonard.
Nah, I remember, I think it was year 3 when I had a concussion. That question came up and, kind of got blown out of proportion with my answer. So I'm going to continue to say, no, that never came and crossed my mind.
He missed most of the last season with various injuries, but he says he's getting back to full strength this offseason. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
What would you do with a little extra cash? Quick getaway, organic fruits and veggies, mini shopping spree? It's all possible with Stockyards Bank Extreme Checking. Earn 4% annual percentage yield on balances from $1 to $10,000 by doing things you already do every day. Just swipe your debit card at least 10 times a month on purchases of at least $5, set up a direct deposit, and enroll in e-statements. Splurging is easier with Stockyards Bank, so what would you do with a little extra? Visit syb.com/extreme to learn more today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, April 20th. It is 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So with Senate Bill 4 here in Indiana, the lawmakers are going to start investigating how the state of Indiana handled COVID and exactly the emergency executive powers that Governor Holcomb had and what he did with them during that time. There's also been some investigating going on in the federal side of things on the national scale. And Republicans have made investigating the origins of the pandemic a top priority. And a new report came out from Senator Roger Marshall. He's from Kansas, and he says that he's uncovered some stunning developments in the search for answers, calling them bombshells.
So the one good thing about the Republicans being in charge of the House is they can do these investigations. Now, it's like the famous Seinfeld line. You're good at taking the reservation. You just can't keep the reservation.
Holding, that's the most important part.
Yeah, Republicans are very good at uncovering the problems. They're just not very good at solving the problems. And so the National Institute for Health, the director there, this guy's name I believe is Lawrence Tabak, and he was up in front of the House the other day, and they were grilling him on COVID. And this guy, this is unbelievable, Casey. I mean, you've got multiple government agencies under Biden now saying, yeah, this probably came from a lab. I mean, you've got law enforcement saying it. You've got departments under the Biden administration saying it. Again, people whose jobs are at the whim of the president. And even they're like, yeah, it probably came from a lab. But this dude, you got to give him credit. He is not giving it up that he says he knows nothing about the origins of COVID. But Casey, if he had to guess, it probably came from an animal.
Did the COVID-19 virus originate from the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I have no idea.
All right. What do you know about the origin? I mean, you're the NIH.
The origins, there are two prevalent theories, a lab accident or, as you say, a lab leak, versus a zoonotic transfer from animals to humans. In my mind, the available evidence favors the latter, but of course, our minds are open to the former possibility.
Favors the latter as in that it came
from a zoonotic transfer.
So that's what you favor, just a natural transfer from what, bats to human beings?
To things like civets and such animals like that, yes.
Kev, can we play just like the first, I'll tell you when to stop, because this reminds me of a very famous scene in a very famous movie. Just the beginning of it, and I'll tell you where to stop. Go ahead.
Did the COVID-19 virus originate from the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I have no idea.
All right. What do you know about the origin? I mean, you're the NIH. Okay,
stop. Remember the scene in Animal House where they take Dorfman's brother's car and they wreck it, and then they bring it back, and Flounder's in tears, and they go, hey, it's fine. We're going to tell everybody that you were doing a great job protecting your brother's car and taking care of it. We all went to bed, woke up one morning, and it was gone. And he looks at I think it's Stratton, and he goes, "That you think that might work?" And he goes, "It's got to work better than the truth." And Belushi's in the background just making all these faces, kind of juggling his hands like, hey, who knows? That is that guy. Like, where you're NIH, National Institute of Health.
Yeah.
I think COVID falls under health. I think COVID was a pretty big deal for health. Hey, bro, where do you think where did the COVID come from? And he's Belushi in the background.
I don't know.
These people are disgusting, Casey. They're disgusting.
So Senator Marshall, in his findings, he said that he thinks been an unintentional lab leak, and one is that somebody was exposed while they were creating vaccines, walked out of the lab, and that's how it was released.
I don't agree with that at all, and I've said this from day one, and until I am disproved by this, I keep getting closer to being proved correct by it. I think China unleashed that on those protesters in Hong Kong. If you remember, and I've always said this, and nobody has disproved it, and every single time there's new evidence, it leads closer to this, that if you remember in the lead up to COVID, what was the major world event going on? It was that very large, very loud, very, in many ways, effective protest that was taking place in Hong Kong in regards to China. And what happened as soon as COVID happened? It all went away.
Mm-hmm. The other theory from Senator Marshall is that it was gain of function, which Fauci has denied.
Oh, I think it was definitely created. And I think at this point, there is so much evidence that it was created, and it is China, and they got the desired result because it's not like China cares about the world or its citizens. All of that stuff, conveniently for China, went away.
Okay. So he went on to say that there's no study to get to the bottom of COVID origins.
How much of your funding is going towards those studies?
We do not have any specific study looking at origins per se. We do support evolutionary biologists who study viral evolution, and these are the individuals who are typically called upon to comment on this type of issue.
So you had a virus that crippled the world. You had a virus that killed millions of people worldwide. You shut down your societies over it. You crippled economies over it. You don't know where it came from, and nobody's specifically looking into that. Shouldn't that be a giant red flag for everyone?
Mm-hmm. And why are they continuing to hide information?
Casey, if there is a leak on your property, don't you immediately call a plumber or someone who not only is their job to stop the leak, but figure out why it happened so, I don't know, it doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the steps you take at your freaking house, much less if there's a virus that was unleashed on the world and destroyed society. Wouldn't you kind of make that priority numero uno to figure out where it came from so it doesn't happen again?
I still, you say that China unleashed it. I still say that there's a part where it's U.S.-funded gain-of-function research, and that's why they're hiding.
Well, yeah, no, I think
why they don't want the origins.
I think those emails and the Fauci testimony and the Rand Paul stuff that he's uncovered shows absolutely the U.S. was involved in. Now, I'm not sure if the U.S. was involved in unleashing it on people. I don't think that, but I think the U.S. was definitely involved in the creation of this thing. Absolutely. No, I'm 100% with you on that. All right, Casey, have you been following this thing with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey?
I have. Isn't that interesting?
This is so wild. These two guys have been going back and forth for a while now over whether they might actually be biological brothers. Mm-hmm. And now Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey had kind of put it out there first, and it sort of went away. But then Woody Harrelson is now piped up, and not only does he think it's possible, he wants a DNA test.
Right, to see if they're blood brothers for real. Or is this just more publicity? We'll get into it coming up from 93 WIBC.
The Pothole. In colder months, tiny fissures are born, and in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
It's JMV and spring is here at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. And right now, Sundown Gardens has 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees and 25% off pottery fountains and statues. Enjoy the weather, save money, spruce up your yard, and shop Sundown Gardens. Ask about their loyalty program. Save money this week on container shrubs, deciduous container trees, pottery, fountains, and statues. That's Sundown Gardens, 186th Street, Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
There's nothing like the freedom of the open road and the bond bikers share here in Indiana. But motorcycle wrecks can result in very serious injuries like a TBI and broken neck.
At Isaacs & Isaacs, we are the attorneys for bikers. We know bikers because many of us are bikers.
So we take motorcycle wrecks personally. And our team will fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
Click and get help quick at WeWin.com. That's WeWin.com.
Hey guys, it's Abdul, and I'm running for mayor of Indianapolis. You see, all my adult life, I believed in leaving things better than when I found them. As an attorney, I worked to leave my clients in a better position. As a teacher, I worked to leave my students better educated. And as a political commentator, I worked to leave my audience more informed. Now I'm running for mayor because I want the city to be in better shape. So go to AbdulForIndy.com and read about our plans to take a tough but smart approach to dealing with crime, our creative approach to road funding, and restoring public trust in government. You know, we all deserve a great city to live in, and together we can make that happen. It's not just talk, it's a plan. Paid for by Abdul for Indy.
Do bank closures, inflation rate hikes, and the roller coaster of the market frighten you as much as it does me? You need to call Oxford Gold. Securing your IRA or 401k with real gold and silver is a portfolio protection plan, and Oxford Gold has made it as easy as 1, 2, 3. One app, one call, and you pick the precious metals. That's it. You now own real precious metals. Call Oxford Gold today and learn more about the 1, 2, 3 protection plan at 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
We've all dealt with a contractor who doesn't make you a priority. At Indy Decorative Concrete, we are invested in each of our customers and strive to make the project effortless from start to finish. Indy Decorative Concrete. Big enough to service, but small enough to care.
40% savings on all of our products, plus manufacturer's rebates, and 20 months, no interest, no payments. Go to bwindow.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall. Oh, he's mean. And Casey Daniels.
She's kind, she's humble.
On 93 WIBC.
17 minutes after 10, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Trending this morning, the Oakland Athletics. They have signed a binding agreement to purchase land for a new retractable roof ballpark in Las Vegas. This after being unable to build a new venue in the Bay Area. And I mentioned this because we were just talking about them, how they had that possum that's living in the TV broadcast booth in the visitor side, so much so that the visitor broadcast crew had to do their broadcasting from a different booth. Because the possum pretty much set up shop in there and making it quite a stinky location.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, and supposedly that new stadium in Vegas, I think, will be done in 2027.
Also trending this morning, don't know if you heard about this. He's a hockey player. He plays for the Winnipeg Jet. His name is Morgan Barron. He took a skate to the face, got 75 stitches. A skate to the face, took 75 stitches, but then returned to the game.
The Price scored, he went up the tunnel to the Jets dressing room.
You know, I was injured on a split sequence like this where I had a slice to my finger, while we were cutting my finger, just melee in the crease, and you can see it there. And the skate now, you see it clip him. It's a skate of Briscoe.
Where'd you get that audio off your television?
That's terrible. That sounded awful.
Well, didn't you tell him to pull it? Why do you look surprised?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised he put that on the template.
You picked the story. What? She's looking at you like, Kevin, why did you pull such terrible audio?
Believe me,
That's your story.
I thought the same thing.
I thought it was my computer at home. I that was the actual original audio. My bad. Sorry about that. Wow. But yeah, this hockey player, he took a skate to the face, got a bunch of stitches, and then kept playing. So there's a hockey play for you. Hopefully this audio will be better. This is musical theater actress Patti LuPone, right? She was on The View, and she says she doesn't know the difference between the Christian right and the Taliban.
This before, and I'm going to get in trouble, but I have said this before, and it's been in print. I don't know what the difference between our Christian right and the Taliban is. I have no idea what the difference is.
You're not the only person who's said that.
I just don't know what the difference is. Yeah. What's happening in this country right now in the name of religion is so dangerous.
She doesn't know the difference between the Christian right and the Taliban. Well, how about God-fearing and worshipers versus people who mutilate others? How about that? I'm so offended by this, and I will tell you why. My brother was deployed in December of 2001. He was in the reserves. He ended up going active duty because of 9/11. So 3 months after 9/11 happened, he was deployed and sent over there. And he was the commander of the mission that rounded up the Taliban and took them to Guantanamo Bay. He is Catholic, a family man. And you're telling me there's no difference between my brother and the Taliban?
Well, not in her eyes.
That show should be canceled. It should be finished. It should be erased. It should be taken off the air.
But are you really surprised you heard that from her? Like, yeah, I know it's deeply offensive. It is. You should be. But are you really surprised?
I am surprised.
Really?
Yes, that somebody would say there's no difference between the Taliban and Christians.
Okay, let's make sure we're talking about the same show. You say the name of the show first.
It's The View.
The View.
Yeah.
Which has people like Whoopi Goldberg on it. We're talking about the same The View, right? Mm-hmm. And she was a famous actress and singer. Who's the obnoxious one? The older lady.
Behar?
Joy Behar.
Yeah.
You're surprised you heard that on The View. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't be offended, and it's not hyper offensive. It is, but you're surprised with that little cast of married women that make up the daily cesspool that is that show that you heard that. That surprises you.
I'm surprised that it is still allowed to be on broadcast TV.
Who do you think runs the network, Casey? Who do you think runs these mainstream, not just the cable networks, but the mainstream television networks?
Well, and for Whoopi Goldberg to cheer her on. Keep going.
Yes, these people hate America. Hi, welcome to the show. We've been at this for a year now. These people hate America, Casey. They hate everything that is good about America. They believe America is the enemy. This is why when we talk about the critical race theory stuff being taught to your kids in public schools, this is what they're training your kids to think, that America is the enemy, that America is the awful place, that America is unsalvageable. And if you're going to talk about America being awful and America being the enemy and America being the bad guy, well, who is the bigger face than the U.S. military?
Yeah. It makes me so upset because I know the sacrifice that my brother took and his family and the danger that he put himself in because it was what he was ordered to do. And years later, this woman has the gall to say that there's no difference between being a Christian and the Taliban. That's just above the pale for me.
Right, but again, Christianity, the U.S. military, they will pick their, and I mean, I mentioned the U.S. military because of your brother, and he served, but you can extrapolate, in this case of what she's saying, to Christianity. Yes, we are a nation founded on Christian principles. So yes, they're going to hate that because they hate this country. They hate America. People need to get this through their heads. The left does not want to reform America. It doesn't want to change America. It doesn't want to fix America. The left wants to burn this country to the ground and rebuild it in some warped, twisted, bizarro, sick Marxist ideology that fits whatever bizarro fetish that resides in their head. Don't take my words for it. Take their words for it. Yeah. They tell you every single day.
Like she just did. It's 23 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So what is going on with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey? Let's just change gears, shall we? They think that they might be biological brothers, and now they're calling for a DNA test. So Matthew McConaughey was thinking this all along because where one guy's life ends and the other begins, right, they kind of cross over in a lot of things. They've been on that TV show together, True Detective, and they were sitting around, I believe it was in Greece, they said. They were watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey's mom was there. And they all knew each other from Texas.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, Matthew McConaughey's mom said she knew Woody Harrelson's dad.
Yeah.
And at the time, Woody's parents were divorcing, so they were single. And he says the way that Matthew's mom said knew, as in knew intimately.
So is their argument then that Charles Harrelson, who is Woody Harrelson's dad, is also Matthew McConaughey's dad?
Yes.
So, of course, for those of you who don't know, Woody Harrelson's dad is Charles Harrelson. Let me get that straight. Charles Harrison is a phenomenal local preacher, leader of the 10-Point Coalition. So, not the same guy. Charles Harrelson, who was a famous hitman who killed a federal judge.
No, we're getting this wrong. They both have the same mom.
No, wait a second. What are you saying? They both have the same mom.
Same mom.
They're saying that Woody Harrelson's mom is not his mom?
Let's just listen to him.
We talked to Mac, Matthew's legitimate mother, and she let us know one time. We were actually. I mean, it's crazy. Sure. We were in Greece. We were watching the the U.S. team win the World Cup, and I don't know. I mentioned something about regrets, and I said, it's odd that my father has no regrets, and I've known Mac a long time, and she goes, I knew your father. And it was the ellipses I found a little troubling.
The pause.
Or interesting.
The pause.
Yeah. That I knew your father.
How would you describe that pause as a...
Filled with innuendo.
So is she saying then that Matthew McConaughey's mom is also Woody Harrelson's mom?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. This is so weird the way they're trying to go about this, which almost makes me think it's a publicity stunt.
Well, and that's
because your dad might not theoretically be your dad. That would be, I mean, usually people look like their parents, whatever. But there is a case that, somebody might not be your dad. But the person who gave birth to you is usually much easier to disprove.
He went on to say that the year of Matthew's birth, 9 months before, she was on a sabbatical from her relationship with his supposed father, Jim. Somebody's messing around. They need to get these DNA tests done. Or is this all just publicity because they're going to be in this upcoming show about brothers?
That's what it is. I'm already out of this. I'm already out of this after hearing that. Because no, this is totally publicity stunt that they're just whatever, and it'll get a bunch of attention, and these guys are working everybody.
Because they're both from Texas.
This was a giant waste of my time. This was your segment, Casey. This is why I have to do the template, because we went through all this roller coaster of emotion, and we're getting played by these two guys. So this segment, we had the audio, and we're getting played.
Getting played by Matthew McConaughey. All right. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Indianapolis is the crossroads of America, the crown jewel of the Midwest.
I'm Jefferson Shreve. I grew up in Perry Township on the south side. I've stayed pretty close to home. Indianapolis, Indiana is my home. The first part of my life was focused on growing a business. And in doing that, I've done some good. Employed quite a few people.
But with a crumbling infrastructure and record-breaking crime, can we still say Indy is a jewel of a city?
I think sadly, we've had better, shinier, happier days in our past than we are at today.
Jefferson Shreve has a plan. Hire more police, give them the support they need, and let them do their job. Because we don't have to live like this.
Strong leaders can pull people into a cause and motivate them.
What Indy needs now is a leader with a plan.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I need your vote for Mayor of Indianapolis.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
QC Kinetics patient Diane Richardson saw her brother-in-law have surgery for pain in his elbow.
My brother-in-law, after that surgery, had his arm in a sling for almost 6 months, extensive PT, pain medication, a lot of restrictions of what he could not do.
So when Diane's husband, Greg, had a similar problem, she encouraged a different treatment, regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. And the experience was like night and day compared to his brother.
After 6 months, nothing. He hasn't felt any pain, and that has been 2 years since he's had treatment.
Plus, no drugs and no downtime.
He was literally out golfing when he wanted to and doing whatever he wanted to. It was probably 9 months before my brother-in-law got back out on the golf course, and my husband was on the golf course the entire time. And he was so elated. He goes, Diane, game changer.
Before you have surgery for that joint pain, get a second opinion. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Was it good or bad? It's mostly cloudy and 71 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. It got off the ground, but then
Starship just experienced what we call a rapid unscheduled disassembly,
meaning an explosion. Still, SpaceX employees were cheering after launching the biggest rocket ever built this morning. That was the successful part, but then 4 minutes in, the rocket exploded. They had hoped to make nearly a lap around the Earth before splashing down somewhere near Hawaii. A decision on access to an abortion pill will now come tomorrow from the Supreme Court. Yesterday, the High Court extended access to mifepristone after it put a Texas federal judge's ruling on hold that would have halted production and distribution of the pill. The court's stay indicates that it needs more time to study the case and decide the next steps. Gas prices in Indiana, $3.66 a gallon on average today, says GasBuddy.com. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
Get 20% discount from Zero Res when you clean the carpets and upholstery for a real spring cleaning. 388-5141 or online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road.
Well, Cody was 24 years old, and he had a big sense of humor. Always liked to make people laugh.
Dennis DeMoss of Reith Riley Construction's son Cody was killed May 9th, 2014 while working in the Cone Zone.
Well, it was a normal day. Get dressed, drink coffee, and my phone rang. It was about 5:30. It was one of the workers on the road. Cody's been in an accident. He didn't make it. Someone come through the construction zone and hit two of our guys. I hung the phone up. My wife's standing right beside me, and our daughter, she was standing there. The hardest part was to tell them right then that our son just was dead. All of our people that's out there, they are moms and dads and brothers and sisters, and we want to go home too. We're not out there to inconvenience people. We're trying to make it better for everybody. Give us some space, let us do our work, and we'll be out of your way and move on.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just reached my answering machine.
317-684-8444. That's the phone number if you'd like to contribute. It's time to hear from you and your thoughts with voicemails.
All right, so we got a big thing coming up at the end of the segment here, so we want to get to that. But first, we got into a lengthy discussion yesterday, as we have many, many days now, about the sick obsession with many people in this country when it comes to men playing women's sports. And it is a legitimate fetish for people on the left. It is sick. It is twisted. It is so weird. And it is now a platform of the Democrat Party that men should be able to, in the case of Leah Thomas, win, dominate women's sports, show their genitals in the locker room. Hey, I guess this is the stable of the Democrat Party now, and somebody called about that.
You were just listening to the Leah Thomas and that kind of thing, that story. But you said it exactly right. I mean, there's something sick and twisted in society going on to think exactly what you said, that a male with a penis is allowed to compete against women. How is that equal? They just said it, or whoever that person was said that that they want equal opportunities for all. Well, that's not equal, because we all know that a male is just physically more dominant than a woman physically. So when it comes to competing, of course, that male is going to win.
Yeah, and the Biden administration right now is talking about amending Title IX. What's the point of Title IX? It was created to make equality for women to be able to play sports. And now, by letting these biological males in that space, you're just erasing all of that equality. So why even have Title IX at this point?
Yeah, and I think the biggest concern is it's not a fringe group of the Democrat Party. It's not a small section of the Democrat Party. I mean, it's weird that the people are out there, period, who really want this stuff. But this is now the blueprint, the staple, the platform of the Democrat Party. I mean, they are publicly, the politicians, Biden, the congressmen, the senators, the governors, they are cheerleading for men with male genitalia to be able to pretend that they are women and just dominate women's sports. I mean, it is so scary that this is a plank of one of the major political parties in this country.
Yeah, and it's taking opportunities away from women.
Yeah. All right. The NRA convention was here last weekend, and everybody got out peacefully. I mean, not in the city of Indianapolis, because, of course, people die all the time here and get shot and stabbed and whatever. But none of the NRA people were involved in any sort of violence. And somebody pointed out how, you would think, because the gun is the problem, with all these people with guns at the gun convention, there would have been a lot of violence.
Hey, Kendall and Casey, love the show. Just listening to your show. You're talking about the NRA convention. I've always had this thought when I first heard that it was coming to town. I was just wanting to see waiting to see how it ended. How many people were going to get killed or shot there at the convention? And I am so appalled that nobody was shot or killed at that convention. And I'm being sarcastic. You would think with all the unhinged MAGA people that carry guns and are backing guns, they weren't mowing down people left and right with all the guns and ammunition and everything that was present.
Yeah. It was the safest place to be.
Yeah, because the gun is not the problem. And as a responsible gun owner, I can say that responsible gun ownership lies with the gun owner. If you know what you're doing around a firearm, and if you make sure that the people in your home know what you're doing around a firearm, and you are a good and decent person who uses that firearm for self-defense, there is no problem. The people who are committing the acts of violence are the problem. The gun itself is not the problem.
And as soon as the NRA packed up and left town this morning in Indianapolis, 2 people were shot.
Yeah, but not from the NRA.
Correct.
All right, one more call before we get to our special little thing we're going to do here. Somebody else, Casey, property taxes have kind of been a big deal. And, well, let me rephrase that. They've been a big deal to the people who are now paying the property taxes that have gone way up. They are no deal at all to the Indiana Republican Party,
right,
the Indiana General Assembly, with which are Republican supermajorities, and the Republican governor. And this person lives in Marion County, and they're trying to figure out what to do about their property taxes.
I'm curious if the state and House Republicans that are in other counties, if we make a phone call to them complaining about what their situation is, about them not giving us a fair amount of tax relief, does it matter if they're not Republicans in Marion County? Because from what I understand, my Marion County reps are all Democrats. So I'm not quite sure who to call. But if you could clarify that, that would be really helpful. Let us know, Marion County, who we should be calling to raise a complaint about them being so apathetic with regards to helping us here in this time of inflation and utility costs going up and everything else. Who can we talk to? I just feel like we don't know really which way to go, and I think your listeners would appreciate that as well. Have a good day. Thanks for always bringing it to the forefront. Bye.
Well, we've been telling you this for a while now, and it's terrible we have to say this, but Nikki Kelly basically confirmed it yesterday. The phone call, the email doesn't do any good at this point.
Jim Merritt confirmed that this morning as well.
You're right.
He said the same thing.
And he was there for 30 years. He knows these people better than anyone. The only way you are going to get these people to listen to you is to peacefully and legally, following all applicable state and federal statutes, get as close to being up in their grill as you can and tell them what you think of them.
Mm-hmm.
And collectively, and I've started to try to figure out how to do this, and I don't know exactly the best way, but maybe we'll ponder it out loud next hour. We got to have some sort of event at the State House.
Yeah, and that's what Jim Merritt was encouraging us to do, is organize a protest of some sort.
Now, I am good at promoting the events. I'm good at speaking at the events. I'm not good at actually being a front person for the event. So we'll have to ponder that. Somebody else may need to, maybe we'll open up the voicemail line, see if somebody wants to do that who has some experience with that. Because if you do it, it can't fail. That's the big thing. If you do it and you get 20 people there, then they're going to laugh at you. You got to put 500 people in the State House screaming and yelling at these lawmakers, because that's what they respond to. Why do the lunatic teachers get their way? Because they wear their color-coordinated red shirts.
And they're loud.
And they behave like psychos, and they get their way. We have to go down there. Now, we don't necessarily have to wear color-coordinated shirts, but we have to go down there and behave like psychos.
Mm-hmm.
We got to follow the law. You got to obey the rules, but you got to scream. You got to yell. You got to chant. You got to give over-the-top doomsday scenarios. And also, if you see these people out in public, stop being nice to them. Stop acting like you're happy to see them. Get up in their grill legally, follow all the laws, and you tell them how they're ruining your existence and how much they suck and how much you can't wait to vote against them. The time for emails is over. It's in person. If I say hand-to-hand combat, is that going to get me in trouble?
Yeah, you just want to make them uncomfortable.
Well, I don't mean literally combat, but I mean in terms of from a political perspective, the in-person. This is an in-person event now. Mm-hmm. And that is not our choosing. That is their choosing. They have made it very clear. They got all the emails.
They ignored them.
They got all the phone calls.
They ignored them.
There was not one person who called and said, "Oh my gosh, please keep raising my property taxes. It's so great." Not one person did that. And they got thousands of calls and emails, and they did nothing. So legally and peacefully, we've got to now take this to them in person. And your job is, if you see them out in public, tell them what you think. Don't be nice to them. Don't shake their hand. Don't give them any credit. Don't tell them they're doing a good job. And then we got to figure out something big to do collectively at the State House. And I'll be the face of it or whatever, promotion, etc. But somebody's going to have to help organize it, because I got a gajillion things going on.
To that woman's point, though, she said her reps are all Democrats. Yeah, you can still call them, you can still email them, and hope that they'll put pressure on their colleagues, but...
the Democrats are markedly better than the Republicans on property taxes. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, I'll say it out loud. Joe Hogsett has done far more for property tax relief than the Indiana Republican Party. But these people are shameless. You can't shame them, you can't guilt them, you can't common sense them. They don't care. They don't care. All right, here's what we're going to do. So remember yesterday we were talking about all the really bad ads that run from politicians. And we were talking about Hammer was with us. We were talking about all the missed opportunities. The one guy's named Willis. How did he not start his ad with what you talking about, Willis? And so we'd said yesterday, when Hammer comes in for his segment today, he's going to write an attack ad on one of our listeners. And so we want one of you to be the person that Hammer writes the attack ad about.
Who wants to be the guinea pig here?
What we're going to do is we're going to take caller number 4 at 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. Kev is just going to get your name, and then when Hammer comes in, he's going to get some info from you, and he is going to write an attack ad about you and read it on the air. So 317-239-9393. Caller 4. You can be Hammer's victim when we come back.
Good luck. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Big Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Biggest stories of the day. Rob Kendall will join us with the latest on the Brownsburg school controversy. He'll go off the rails. 93 WIBC.
Indiana has a long history of pioneering education freedom and empowering families who know what's best for their children. But as universal education freedom sweeps the nation in states like Iowa, Arizona, Arkansas, West Virginia, Utah, and Florida, Hoosiers are at risk of being left behind unless we act now. Indiana lawmakers have an opportunity to ensure all Hoosiers can exercise their right to decide what education is best for their child, where they learn, how they learn. The time is now for Indiana to regain its status as a leader by delivering universal access to education freedom for every Hoosier. The time is now for Indiana to ensure our children get the education they deserve, so they can compete with every state in America and every country around the globe. Contact your state senator today and tell them now is the time to put our kids first and pass universal school choice. Paid for by Yes Every Kid.
Did you know that over 90% of male enhancement pills are virtually the same thing that's repackaged, redone over and over again? Why settle for the same old product when you can get something completely different? Something that takes male enhancement into the 21st century. Something that really works. Men, you need to try Noxitril, the explosive, all-natural male enhancement formula that will unlock your performance in the bedroom to a level you could only dream of. Try to imagine Viagra on steroids. Noxitril is so powerful, that's why it took years for it to finally become available to the public without a prescription. So call now and take advantage of our special Noxitril free bottle offer today. Oh yeah, we recommend that you use the Noxitril dose as directed. Think of your partner. We certainly don't want you to overperform in the bedroom.
Find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril. Call 800-490-7856. That's 800-490-7856. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-490-7856. 800-490-7856.
Are you or a loved one a veteran of the United States of America? Are you aware what the PACT Act is? The PACT Act is a historic new law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. If this is you, join us in person at the Veterans Benefits and Resource Fair at the Johnson County National Guard Armory on Wednesday, April 26th from noon to 6 p.m. To learn more, follow VA Indianapolis on social media.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
If your leaky chimney is at it again, there's only one place to call. That's Chimney Solutions. Chimney Solutions has over 20 years of experience inspecting, sweeping, and troubleshooting chimney systems. From repairing your masonry to waterproofing to chimney caps, they handle it all with craftsmanship guarantees. The Chimney Solutions team is Chimney Safety Institute of America certified and members of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. Call Chimney Solutions today at 317-757-6979. Online at chimneyindy.com. That's Chimney Solutions.
This is Scott Willis running for mayor of Westfield. As a colonel in the United States Marines, I stood up for our country, our families, and our values. As mayor, I have the leadership and vision to make Westfield a world-class city. How do we build a world-class city without losing the qualities we love? We do it with transparency, integrity, and smart leadership. I am a lifelong Republican. I'll work to diversify our tax base and to lower residential taxes. On Election Day, experience matters. I'm Scott Willis, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Willis for Westfield.
Contaminated meds took Carrie's vision and her hope. A shooting stole Ray's sight and his dreams. To those who experience it, vision loss is devastating. But the programs of Bosma's Center for Visionary Solutions offer a return to independence. Without your help, though, those programs can't continue. If you act now, you can double the impact of your gift to the Bosma Visionary Opportunities Foundation. Change lives today at bosma.org/donate.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our Rhino Shield has been on for 8 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
10:50 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Hammer joins us in the studio. We have someone brave on the line who wants to be roasted, so to speak.
Okay, so if you're just tuning in, I said that I could write a negative campaign ad for anybody on the fly.
Yeah.
We've done this before. I've done it about Rob.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is here, and we're going to do it about caller number 4.
Yeah, and let's point out we're doing this because some of these political ads are so bad and uncreative, and there's totally missed opportunities, and these consultants get paid all this money to write these ads, and Hammer could do it better in 30 seconds and for a fraction of the price.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a negative campaign ad, all right? So caller number 4, I believe, is Seth. Seth, are you there?
Yeah, hey, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. So I'm going to ask you a few questions here. I'm going to get some information before we put this ad together, okay?
Okay.
Now, before we get started, you have to understand that this is going to be a negative campaign ad. So you can't get upset, you can't cry, you can't go boo-hoo. If that's a problem for you, you can hang up right now. Are we cool?
Oh, no, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. Seth,
brave.
Where are you from, Seth?
I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indy. Okay. If you were going to be running for any sort of political office, what would it be?
We need a new mayor. I'll go mayor.
You've
Good
already
move.
got my vote,
Good
Seth.
move.
You've already got my vote. Okay. What do you prefer? Mexican food or Chinese food?
Oh, I have to go Chinese.
Okay. Do you have any pets?
No pets.
Okay. What about family? Got a wife, got kids, got an ex-wife? What are we talking about here?
Yep, I got one wife. Married for about 3 years.
Okay. Any kids? Are there little Seths running around?
No little Seth. Thank goodness.
Okay. Let me write this down. Have you ever been arrested, Seth?
I have not.
Okay, well, you're disqualified to be the mayor of Indianapolis. I'm sorry.
I do like a few drinks, though.
Okay, well, tell me about that. Tell me about a time that you've been overserved, Seth.
Few times at the good old Ball State University down in the Chug.
Oh, the Chug. I remember that well. I remember being cut in line by Bonzi Wells multiple times. Seth, have you ever been nude in public?
I have not.
I don't believe you. Okay. So I think I got a lot to work with here. So here's what's going to happen. Seth, I want to put you on hold, okay? Kevin, put Seth on hold. We're going to do the ad, then we'll go back to Seth to get his response.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Here we go.
Are you ready?
Kevin, hit the music. You want Seth in Indy to be the mayor. Well, let's just look at the facts. In all of his years in Marion County, he's spent absolutely 0 minutes in city county council meetings. 0. None. Not a single one. And do you really want to trust the keys to the most important city in the state to a man who likes food from the Chinese Communist Party? He doesn't have any pets. He doesn't have any kids. What else doesn't Seth have? Common sense?
Oh, no.
Rational spending? He claims he's never been nude in public. But he also has been known to be hammered drunk at the Chug at Ball State. Which is it, Seth? You can't have it both ways. And Indy deserves better. No nudity, no arrests, but a propensity to drink like a fish. Seth and Indy, we can't afford another mistake.
Oh, wow! Hey! Wow, that was amazing.
All right, so let's bring Seth back on here. Seth, does that work? Is that all right for you?
That was the best campaign I've ever.
And the thing is, I'd still vote for you over Boss Hog, Seth. With all of that, you still have my vote, Seth.
All right, let's go for mayor.
All right, thank you, brother.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Seth. It. Look, you got a talent. You have a real talent, and I hate to say anything nice about you, but you have a real talent to be very creative and very mean, and when you put those two together, you would be a great attack ad writer.
I'm available right now. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of primary season, so if somebody wants a freelance guy to write a negative ad, I'll be your Huckleberry. I'm in.
And this is the way ads should be, because what would we do? Let's say the guy had done the What You Talking About Willis.
Right.
We would be talking about this guy. Think of the earned media this guy would have gotten if he had just had a fun. You could still say all the things. I'm for good streets and
right. A full
cops
different stroke style commercial. What you talking about, Willis? Well, I'm talking about safer schools. I'm talking about getting rid of CRT and having safe communities.
I think the consultants call that cutting through the clutter.
You need different strokes and different folks, and I'm the guy that can make Westfield different. I'm Scott Willis, and I appreciate your vote on it.
Yeah, instead he gets nothing.
Right.
It's coming up this afternoon.
It's boring ads. Come on now, people. So, Rob, you're going to give us an update on the Brownsburg scandal.
Lots of stuff going
coming
on
up
there.
this afternoon.
Thanks, Hammer. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It's Hammer and Nigel for Window Nation. Everyone loves a smart investment, and there is no better place to put your money right now than in your home. Window Nation has the perfect offer for anyone with a home at least 20 years old. Protect and increase the value of your home and energy efficiency by installing new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is making it insanely easy to do so with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free with every 2 you purchase.
Go with the window company that has installed nearly 2 million windows, including mine, by installers with over a decade of experience using only top-of-the-line installation materials, which is why 96% of all installations require no follow-up service. Call Window Nation today and lock in these limited-time savings when you need them the most. 866-90-NATION and pay 0 interest for 5 years. The life of your loan, and get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated. And not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
For you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Trust our family to take care of your family. Call us today for our family maintenance plan at 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Learn how a Retire Shield plan from Crown Haven Wealth Advisors provides clear, straightforward retirement solutions that are custom tailored for you. This Sunday on WIBC from 9 to 10 a.m.
Receive 40% off all products, plus special manufacturer rebates and up to 20 months, no interest, no payments. Just go to bwindow.com. We'll take care of the rest.
Local news in 2 minutes from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
It went up, then it blew up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. SpaceX launched the tallest, most powerful rocket ever this morning in Texas. But 4 minutes into its first unmanned test flight,
the spacecraft failed to separate from its main rocket booster, and after a series of rolls in the sky, the 394-foot-long Starship broke apart over the Gulf of Mexico.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk then tweeted they'll try again in a few months.
The largest spacecraft ever, Starship will ultimately be capable of carrying up to 100 people and eventually send humans to Mars.
Fox's Jonathan Sari. It's now 3 people confirmed dead in Oklahoma by the McLean County Sheriff, who says the damage is extensive around Oklahoma City. An assisted living facility got hit hard.
The windows are blown out, and there's water in the building.
Shelley Stewart calls her staff heroes for leading seniors there to safety as the twisters raged. House Republicans will not get to hear what they wanted this morning, the day after a judge denied a New York City district attorney's attempt to block a deposition, while they demand answers from Alvin Bragg, who they say politically targeted former President Trump, criminally charging him.
A ruling from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals has temporarily put on hold testimony from Mark Pomerantz, a former prosecutor in the Manhattan DA's office who had been subpoenaed by congressional Republicans. Pomerantz worked on the district attorney's investigation into former President Donald Trump for about a year before resigning in 2022.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Minutes ago in the House, Republicans approved a bill to ban transgender athletes in women's sports, but it'll go nowhere in the Democrat-led Senate. And even if it did, President Biden threatens a veto. North Dakota is the latest Republican-led state to impose restrictions on transgender youth treatment. The governor signed a bill this morning criminalizing gender-affirming care for anyone under 18 years old. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How family and police are feeling. It's partly cloudy, 73 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. There has been violence both Wednesday night and this morning in Indianapolis. John Herrick reports.
6 people were shot in a nearly 12-hour span. 3 people were killed. One of those killed was a teenage boy near 38th Street and Post Road. Another victim was a man killed on Indy's northwest side around 5:30.
A family has lost a brother. A family has lost a loved one today. That's not okay.
That's IMPD Public Information Officer Simone Burris at the scene of that shooting that happened on Dexter Street near 21st Street. They're looking for suspects in all of these incidents. If you have any information, call IMPD or Crime Stoppers. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
As they put together a state budget, Indiana lawmakers will have more money to work with over the next 2 years than previously thought. That's according to fiscal experts who laid it out to state lawmakers on Wednesday.
Finally, state general fund revenues year-to-date are 2% above the December 2022 forecast and 4.9% above the same period in fiscal 2022.
Krista Ricci, senior fiscal analyst for the Senate Republican caucus. In English, the state is expected to have an extra $1.5 billion coming in tax revenue. In the U.S. House,
this is the first bill I'm introducing as a member of Congress, and it's because I believe that we need to get our fiscal house in order, as it's the issue of our time.
Congressman Rudy Yakum introducing a bill to amend the U.S. Constitution. He wants to make it a requirement that the federal government pass a balanced budget each year. He says spending is out of control and it needs to be reined in. Indy car drivers are busy this hour at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're testing on the oval all day today in preparation for the Indianapolis 500. Some rookies will be knocking out rookie orientation programs later this afternoon. 33 drivers already entered to try and qualify for the race, with rumors of a 34th expected to be announced soon. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, April 20th. It is 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So let's talk about Joe Biden and his approval rating. It's pretty awful. It's dipped below 40% this month, and this is according to a new Reuters poll that was released this week. His popularity pretty much in a steady decline since he took office. It did bottom out at 36% sometime last year, but now then it went back up, but now we're back down to 40%. So you could say that he is below water on this.
And isn't it interesting, Casey, you've worked in radio, so I'm going to ask this question, assuming but not knowing the answer, and you've worked in corporate radio before. Have you ever worked for a really bad boss?
Yep.
Well,
that was easy.
I didn't know the answer was going to be so quick. And I would guess with that bad boss, it was blatantly obvious to the people in the building that that person was not capable of rising to the level necessary to do that important job.
Yes, it was.
It's not necessarily because there are people in all sorts of environments where they do things that you disagree with. You know, you're not going to agree with everything your boss does. Our bosses tell us all the time, things, and we not necessarily agree with them, but it is what it is. But when you are being led by a person who is clearly mentally, in this case, mentally and physically not up for the job, it brings a sense of, and I'm going to, again, kick this back to you for the position that you were in, and this is just, in your individual corporate radio environment, much less the entire nation. It brings a sense of almost depression to the company in question because you recognize it's not that this person had a bad idea. It's that as long as this person is in charge, things will not get better because they are not up to doing the job.
Right. You can't execute it. And it's like a cancer that spreads to all of the employees because it's really hard to motivate them. When you see that the leader is not up to the job, all the underlings start questioning, well, this guy can't do it.
Right. And that's where I think you are with any honest, intellectually honest broker, rational person who will speak out loud, is that it's not that Biden has bad ideas. He does. He has horrible ideas. But he's not capable of being president of the United States. We have, over the last 2 hours, played you parts of his remarks yesterday, and this happens in almost every single speech, in which he couldn't spell the number 8, E-I-G-H. He claimed 12,000 jobs had been created during his administration and that it was some sort of record. And then he does this creepy old man whisper thing where he's like out of a horror movie, the old man in a horror movie where he's rambling on about the moon. And this is the face of our country. This is the CEO of our nation. This is the person that we prop up to say, when you think of our country, this is who you think of. That's what the president of the United States is. It is the person that the world thinks of when they think of your nation.
Yeah, and it's an embarrassment on a global stage. So 1 in 5 cited that the economy was the biggest problem facing the nation. Crime and environment were also cited. 1 in 10 people said that they were concerned about that. But here's the real question. You said this is the president. This is the CEO of the nation. Is he? Is he the one really in charge? He's the one who won the election, but is he really the one who's making the decisions and pulling the strings, or is he a Pinocchio, and who is Geppetto?
I was pondering this recently. I ponder it often, and then, as you know, Casey, I do now thanks to things being very affordable in this country and inflation in no way being out of control, and our local Republicans here in Indiana doing a phenomenal job on taxation and keeping everything very cheap. I decided because, well, it's natural after you work a full-time job to want to go work 7 more hours somewhere else. I've decided to do that because, you know, as a man and as the leader of a family, that's what you do, is provide for your family and the long-term future of your family. I have the joy of working a second job now. Now, I don't have to, but the reality is when you look at the future of this nation, when you look at where we're at as a country, when you look at best, Biden is president for 2 more years, things ain't getting any better anytime soon. And that sucks in our society, in the freest, most wonderful nation in the history of the world, where you have so much opportunity at your disposal that, and many people are, I'm not saying don't cry for me, Argentina, right? I'm not saying don't throw a parade for me. Many other people are in the same boat, that people who, despite having 2 people who make decent income in their house, feel we've got to work more on top of our full-time job because of the condition our country has been put in by our politicians. And look, if it was a thing where, you say, okay, there was some great financial collapse a la 2008, and even if you have a complete moron in the Oval Office like Obama, the situation is going to somewhat fix itself, and if you just hold the line, things are going to get better. I think there was a sense of that as you entered maybe like 2010 in this country. There is no optimism right now. I mean, there is none. And when you look at, okay, well, we elected the Republicans to the House.
What is there to be happy about?
Right, but that's what I'm saying, Casey, is Kevin McCarthy has laid out in his speech, as we told you he would, and apparently everyone other than Jim Banks with the firing synapse in their brain knew this, that Kevin McCarthy would cave on the debt ceiling. And Kevin McCarthy would not stand tough and fix the issue necessary to get inflation under control. And McCarthy has admitted he's waved the white flag. He's done exactly what I said he was going to do, which is he's going to get some minor cuts here and minor cuts there that in the grand scheme of things mean nothing. He'll claim, oh, look at these cuts we got, but we're still going to add hundreds of billions of dollars every single year to an already out of control national debt, which is inflation. So there's no help anywhere. You have a guy who can't spell 8 in the Oval Office and a guy who deserves to be stuffed in a locker running the House of Representatives, and then you've got Chuck Schumer and the Democrats controlling the Senate. Jimmy Carter described it as malaise, and I don't know if that's still the best word or not, but I look at this in the future of this country, and I think, where the hell does the help come from? Because it's not coming from the Republicans. The president can't spell 8. The Democrats are a bunch of lunatics. Where does the help for regular people come from? It doesn't exist. And so I wonder, who are the 42% in this Reuters Ipsos poll who approve of Biden? I'm not surprised it's that low. Who are the people who look around and go, things are going pretty good?
Right. Those are the people who aren't paying bills. They're not the one who are charged in their household with looking at the monthly statements, what's coming in, what's going out.
Bingo. We have become such a Santa Claus nation that there are people who don't pay. You're right. They don't pay bills, and it's pathetic, and they are pathetic people. I'm not talking about people who can't physically work or the elderly or the infirmed. I am talking about able-bodied people who are pathetic human beings who milk this system on a daily basis.
Good for them.
And feel no responsibility as a member of society or as a parent or as a provider or just as a human being to have some self-worth and get up off their ass and go to work. And you know why they don't? Because we don't make them. We don't make them.
Why would they? It's free ride sitting on the couch.
And so I look at this country and I fear for this country, and I just don't know what the answer is.
And back to the president.
I know what the answer is. I just don't know where it's going to come from.
Back to the president and the CEO of the country. I mean, you want to have confidence in who is leading the country. And are you getting that from Joe Biden?
Yeah.
No. On a daily basis, you're getting the opposite of that.
So let's talk about another example of how the government colossally fails our country.
Waste, fraud, and abuse?
Yeah. So keep in mind, we've got all this money for Ukraine. We have no idea where that money's going. I mean, we've never had an audit. We've never had a return on investment. We've never had an itemized list. We are just told, if you object to money, an endless money pit going to Ukraine, well, then you just hate those people and you want them all to die. And you're
pro-Putin.
Yeah, you're a comrade, right? I mean, but the reality is our country just throws money out like it's going out a window, like it's going out of style. And I guarantee you, Casey, that within 5 years, we're going to find that these weapons or whatever we have bought them, we don't know for sure because we never get the itemized list, is going to end up in the hands of people who hate us and are going to be used against us, because that's what always happens. See the next audio we're about to play. This guy who is I think his title is Special Inspector for Afghanistan Reconstruction. So how long were we in Afghanistan? We didn't win. We drew a draw at best, and then we got out of there, and a bunch of people got killed needlessly, and the Taliban took over. And this guy who is in charge of Afghan reconstruction and where all the stuff cannot tell the U.S. Congress whether or not the taxpayers are funding the Taliban.
Unfortunately, as I sit here today, I cannot assure this committee or the American taxpayer we are not currently funding the Taliban.
Our country and our politicians put everybody but the citizens first. We can talk about it on the federal level when we're talking about the gajillion dollars that has gone to Ukraine, about this, all the money that went to Afghanistan and Iraq with no accountability. But yet we have, veterans who sleep on the streets, people with mental health crisis, public safety issues. We always put on a national level other countries ahead of our own. On a state level, we have record sums of money going to local governments. They're spending almost $100 million in Brownsburg on athletic fields, Casey. But if you dare go, hey, I can't really afford to stay in my home because of the property taxes, well, they tell you to eat crap and die. It's everywhere. It's the local politicians. It's the state politicians. It's the federal politicians. It sucks that the radio broadcasters care more about the people than the people who are elected to care about the people.
Okay, so he was giving testimony to the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, and he said that money includes $2 billion, about 60% of which is food aid, as well as funds for healthcare, agricultural, civil society, and also human rights. But he can't say that that's where that money's actually going. And he went on to say, I would just say I haven't seen a starving Taliban fighter on TV. They all seem to be fat, dumb, and happy. And that brings me back to, and I mentioned earlier in the show, how my brother was the commander of the mission that rounded up the Taliban back in 2001 and brought him to Gitmo. And it used to pain him because he would say when they first got there, they would be wearing extra small jumpsuits. And they would just, little by little, have to size them up. Then they'd have to go to small, and then medium, and then large, because they weren't used to 4 square meals a day or 3 square meals a day. They got better treatment there than they did in their own country. But now we're sending money there, and the Taliban are using it.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, Casey. When we come back, I've gotten some messages from some people. We've got to figure out something here at home, because the politicians here, the state lawmakers, have made it abundantly clear they don't give a damn about you, and they're not going to help you with property taxes. It's also been made very clear to me the way to get them to care is to do some sort of very large something. So when we come back, I'm going to just talk out of my ass off the top of my head, and I'm going to see and solicit some help from our audience and see if we can start to put the wheels in motion of something for the people. So our bosses are going to love. Coming up, I have no idea what I'm going to say.
Awesome.
But it'll be for you.
It's like me every break. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
We've all been through a tornado drill.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
So let's do another as we enter severe weather season.
Tornado warning in effect.
Sirens were sounded.
The sirens will sound, and so will your severe weather station.
Closures with debris in your way.
Baseball-sized hail already.
We'll let you know when to
duck and cover fast wherever you are.
With watches, warnings, and everything you need to know.
15,000 people without power.
93 WIBC.
I don't like to walk downtown anymore. Only when I have to. Even during the day. There's so many out on the street, aggressive. I mean, I feel terrible for them. But at the same time, I don't feel safe. Every night, there's another story on the news. Another shooting, something violent. And it's not even in one area, it's all over the city. Just the other day, a woman was robbed at gunpoint at church. At church. I heard that so far this year, our murder rate is higher than Chicago. Chicago! I'm proud of Indianapolis. That's just not what I think of, what I think Indianapolis should be. The only thing I can think to do differently is I have to vote differently, starting now, until it gets better. So I'm going to vote for Shreve in May. Maybe Hogsett gets the message. Or maybe we get a new mayor in November.
Paid for by Shreve for mayor.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
Ugh, so full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Your home is your sanctuary, and the first step to peace of mind is controlling your power with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer, Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808.
40% savings on all of our products, plus manufacturer's rebates, and 20 months, no interest, no payments. Go to bwindow.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
21 minutes after 11, you're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and trending this morning, the movie Rust. You remember that movie. It's the Alec Baldwin movie where there was the fatal shooting of that cinematographer. Well, they have come out and said that filming on this Western movie will resume this week in Montana. And at one point, do you just say, you know what, we're scrapping this movie? People died on the set. It's time to just put it to bed and not finish it.
Oh, Casey, you think they'd put
someone's life
people
above
over
money?
No,
Yeah.
Casey, come on now.
I realize they have a lot of money already tied up into it, but I think at some point you just have to say, you know what, this movie's going to bomb.
All you have to do if you do something egregious after someone has passed away is just go, so-and-so would have wanted it.
Oh.
So-and-so would have wanted the movie to continue.
Or if you're the president of the United States, you look for them in the crowd.
Well, that's true.
After
That's
they've
a very
already
good
passed
point,
away.
yes.
Also trending this morning, Karine Jean-Pierre, she had herself a presser, and she says that Biden is sending yet another package to Ukraine.
Moving to Ukraine later today, the Biden-Harris administration will announce a new security assistance package for Ukraine as part of our ongoing efforts to help Ukraine defend itself against Russia's brutal invasion. The announcement, which will come from the Department of State and Defense, will be the 36th use of presidential drawdown authorities to support Ukraine. The package will include more ammunition for U.S.-provided HIMARS, rocket systems, and anti-armor systems, as well as additional...
She just keeps going and going
At some point, she's going to screw up and say, as part of protecting the president's business interest in Ukraine. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Whoops. Also trending this morning, the Indianapolis Opera. They paid a visit to the State House. While they were there, they serenaded one of Holcomb's staff members. By the way, the opera was deemed non-essential and shut down during COVID. But here they are with a colossal waste of time singing to one of Holcomb's people. And I put this on the template because Kevin's birthday is tomorrow.
Say Velvet?
That's what I was wondering.
Is that a happy birthday, Velvet?
Happy birthday, Velvet.
Okay, so wait.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Time out. Noel, I'm going to get to Kevin in a second, but I want to tell you right now, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I'm sure the opera may be wonderful, and there's probably a lot of very nice people who participate in the opera. But the fact that you would show up with anything with Holcomb and do anything associated with Holcomb and be nice to Holcomb.
After they he shut them down.
People just don't care anymore, Casey. And I want to go back to the thing that my friend, who is very well thought of in state government, he is a very high-ranking person in state government, universally respected, and I will never out this person because he gives me lots of information, and also it would ruin him if people knew that he became public that he associated with me. He told me this several months ago, and because he knows the struggle we go through on this show on a daily basis. And what he told me was the reason government behaves the way it does now. I mean, we have seen a big difference in government pre-COVID, post-COVID. It was bad pre-COVID. It's way worse post-COVID. Is the government learned we can do whatever we want to you and you will not fight back. Mm-hmm. Local governments, state governments, federal governments. I think many in the governments were very surprised at how little pushback there was. And this is another example. This dude closed your stuff. Mm-hmm. He shut you down.
Right.
He took it from you, Casey.
Yes.
Eric Holcomb took this from these people, and here they are.
Showing up, singing, performing, dancing.
And the thing. The politicians have been proven right. We will not fight back. We will roll over and take it no matter what they do to us. And this is another part of the proof. All right, so what we'll do, because real quick, I want to, in the final segment, we need some help from the audience in figuring out what we're going to do to try to make a difference. But I do want to mention tomorrow is Kevin's birthday. Mm-hmm. Kevin is going to be 28 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he's leaving us for his birthday.
I know.
He didn't want to spend his birthday with us.
I know. You know what? He's going someplace kind of cool, though.
Yeah, it's a birthday present to myself.
Nice.
Going on your own?
Celebrate you.
Solo.
Not renting some dancing girls to go hang out with you?
Well, I never said I wasn't.
Oh, hey.
We'll see.
He's going to go to Sweetwater in Fort Wayne, which is the country's largest music store.
Yeah, and then he somehow woke up in Tijuana, Mexico.
He did ask me, "Hey, Casey, you ever worked in Fort Wayne?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "Anything else to do there?" And I said, "Well, there is a Showgirls 1, 2, and 3."
Well, Kev, I just wanted to say before we preview what's coming up next, we greatly appreciate you, all that you do, and we hope you have a phenomenal birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, when we come back, Casey, we get asked all the time, Rob, is there any political person in Indiana that you like? And the answer is
one or two.
There are a few. And then I get the follow-up, are there any Republican political people that you like? And the answer is yes. And we're going to have one of them when I come back. When we come back, we will speak with Marlon Stutzman, former U.S. congressman, had a U.S. Senate race totally stolen from him when Todd Young didn't get those signatures. And then Todd's daddy, Mitch McConnell, spent millions of dollars to defeat Marlon. That was the same race where Eric Holcomb was a distant third, out of money, shooting baskets, and then magically became the governor in the same year after he got out of the Senate race to help Todd. But he is back. He is running for Congress up in the 3rd for the seat that Jim Banks is abandoning. I mean, not running for again. And so we're going to talk with Marlon when we come back.
It's coming up with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Casey.
Yeah.
Question.
What?
Very, very important.
I'm listening.
Pay close attention.
Okay.
And don't answer quickly. Think it through.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Imagine if you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. What do you think about that?
It sounds good. Tell me more.
If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus. Learn how you could get a 35% bonus from Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
I like this. It sounds pretty good. It's Kendall and Casey, and we believe in bills so much, we became clients too. Not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years. And they have $2.5 trillion in assets.
To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. That's Bill Demery at 317-932-9912.
Spring in Indy. And since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad. And I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Business owners, you too can get the 25-year protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Hey, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Are you or a loved one a veteran of the United States of America? Are you aware what the PACT Act is? The PACT Act is a historic new law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. If this is you, join us in person at the Veterans Benefits and Resource Fair at the Johnson County National Guard Armory on Wednesday, April 26th from noon to 6 p.m. To learn more, follow VA Indianapolis on social media.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A big boom over Texas. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. SpaceX's Starship prototype exploded 4 minutes into its flight. This morning's launch from their starbase in South Texas was the first unmanned test flight. In a statement, SpaceX says that the data will help them improve reliability. The rocket will eventually carry crew and cargo to the moon, Mars, and beyond. SpaceX calling the launch both a success and a failure. The U.S. House is expected to pass a bill to ban transgender athletes from women's and girls' sports. The bill would prohibit schools receiving federal funding for allowing biological males to compete in female athletics.
This is a day that is so important for women across America, and House Republicans are leading the way.
House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik. Democrats argue the ban is discriminatory. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Indy's biggest party is back. Miller Lite Carb Day, Friday, May 26th, with Brian Adams. With special guest Soul Asylum. Miller Lite Carb Day, May 26th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Concert pit and VIP tickets on sale now at IMS.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable gas and battery-powered tools, from trimmers to blowers. And you'll find service from experienced professionals. Real STIHL. Find yours at stihlusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
I'm gonna find myself a girl who can show me what laughter means.
93 WIBC. This is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. And you know, Casey, I get asked all the time, is there anyone in Indiana politics that you like?
Mm-hmm.
And there are. A few.
One or two.
Well, are there any Republicans that you like? And I say there are even fewer of them, but there are. One or two, and one of them joins us now on the drivehubler.com hotline, and I'm so excited because he is running for Congress once again. Marlon Stutzman. Marlon, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Kendall. It's great to be with you guys.
Yeah, so let's start with the big announcement, Marlon. You have decided, of course, you represented the 3rd Congressional District, the Fort Wayne area, for several years. You decided to run for Senate in 2016. We'll talk about that in a second. But now you're running again with Jim Banks running for U.S. Senate. Why are you subjecting yourself to this pain and torture?
Well, because, as you mentioned, who in Washington, D.C. do you like? It's frustrating as we watch what type of leadership we have. And, over the past 7 years since leaving Congress in 2016, I've been back in the family businesses, growing and working hard to make things, better for us here in Northeast Indiana. And we've had a lot of success. But at the same time, the challenges that we've had over the past 7 years because of government irresponsibility and just flat out incompetence has just gotten under my skin to the point where I talk to my business partners, my family, and we all agree that we need somebody back in Washington who's going to fight, who's going to stand up for conservative values and take some common sense back there where there's just been a huge lack of understanding what the American people deal with on a daily basis.
So, Marlon, you have said that you're going to run unapologetic and relentless on the critical issues our nation is facing. Let's talk about those issues. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, $32 trillion of debt. That just, to me, it's just unacceptable. What our leadership is doing to the American taxpayer on a daily basis, spending more money than what the federal government takes in. I announced my candidacy on tax day for a reason, to remind every one of us that the responsibility, well, it's not even, it's becoming our responsibility because of irresponsible politicians to fund the government and what the government has been spending our money on. Are we getting the return on investment? I don't think so. And so number one is the debt and the spending that's just out of control in Washington. I was on the budget committee when I was there before. Things were bad then. It's just compounded so much more since I left office. And then, you throw COVID response on top of that, and what our leadership, starting with Fauci, has done is atrocious. I mean, this is insane. And so, I work with people on a daily basis in business, and you have to make decisions based on facts. You have to make decisions based on a vision. And unfortunately, none of that's happening in Washington.
Marlon Stutzman, our guest, formerly represented the 3rd Congressional District, Fort Wayne area in Indiana, now running again with Jim Banks, running for U.S. Senate. All right, Marlon, so, full disclosure, when you ran for U.S. Senate in 2016, I worked on your campaign, and that was a really big eye-opening experience to me because it was sort of the nail in the coffin for me on the Republican Party on how awful the establishment is, how corrupt it is. When we saw Todd Young, he didn't get those signatures. He should have never been able to run. And then you're winning this 3-way Senate primary. It was you, it was Todd Young, it was Holcomb. You're winning easily. And then magically, Holcomb gets picked to be lieutenant governor. And all of a sudden, here comes the cavalcade of Mitch McConnell money to support Todd Young. And the whole thing was rigged, and you got totally screwed. And I got a feeling if you go back there, you're going to go back there with an axe to grind on behalf of the American people, and you're going to stand up to these establishment clowns. The floor is yours.
Well, I couldn't lay out the scenario any better than you did, Rob. You were there. You saw it. And, as when those things happen, you just kind of, you're in disbelief that that's actually what's happening right in front of us, and so, yeah, you know what? I know there are people in Washington, D.C. who do not want to see me run in 2024 for the 3rd Congressional District. But I also know that there are a lot of friends there like Jim Jordan and Scott Perry and others who are already supporting me and saying, look, we need you back in the fight here because this is critical. to see what our own government is doing to our former president and using the justice system as a weapon against President Trump, to see what they're doing to Jim Jordan, to see what they're doing to other conservatives. That's what they did. That's what they did to me. And again, I'm not going to apologize. I think that common sense is what needs to happen. And it is so unfortunate to see politicians who are trying to protect their power. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at Chuck Schumer. Look at, Joe Biden. We don't even know who's in control in the White House. And but I'll tell you this, I pray for his health every day, Rob, because if something happens to President Biden, look who's behind him.
I picture Marlon when he goes back there, and I hope you win. When you go back there, he's going to be like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, putting an axe through the door, shouting, "Here's Marlon!"
Well, you know what? This is not hard. And you know that, Rob. I mean, there's very basic, simple principles that made America great. First of all, it's hard work and trusting that what the people we send to office are going to do what they say they're going to do, and that's what it doesn't happen. I'm willing to point back at my record when I was in Washington at how I stood up and fought for the taxpayer. I stood up and fought for our military and our national defense. But you know what? That also means that you don't just send them all over the world and be the world's police officers. So we need to make sure that we're strong here at home and look out for America first, standing up for life, standing up for our kids and our families, and continuing to make America the great country that it can be. We have so much potential. It's at our fingertips. But instead, we're not fighting blue dog Democrats anymore, Rob. What we're fighting is socialists, communists, and Marxists. That's what's now happening in Washington.
Marlon Stutzman is our guest. He's announced he's running for Indiana's 3rd Congressional District. That's the Fort Wayne area. Casey.
In the past, you've been a member of the Freedom Caucus. You going to do that again?
Yeah, I mean, that group was started by some really good folks. Jim Jordan, of course, was the leader along with Mark Meadows. Mark became, of course, he was a congressman, became President Trump's chief of staff. And then Mick Mulvaney, who was a chief of staff and OMB director. Ron DeSantis was one of the founding members. We were that core group that just kept looking for a strong leader. And then President Trump came along. And so the partnership between the Freedom Caucus and President Trump was just an easy one. Of course, I wasn't there when that occurred, but I believe that the Freedom Caucus has brought sanity and brought back common sense, but also brought a backbone. And that's what I will do. I mean, I've proven this. In fact, it was a compliment last night. I was at the Allen County Lincoln Day dinner, and a gentleman told me, he said, the longer you were there, the stronger you got. Mm-hmm. And that I take that as a huge compliment, because I got to see what was behind the curtain. And it's like you go in every day and you're just like, I can't believe this is the type of leadership we have for the greatest country on earth.
Marlon Stutzman is on the line with us, and you have mentioned Donald Trump twice. You have mentioned Ron DeSantis. So let's quickly talk endorsements. Who are you looking at, and are any of them looking at you, endorsing you?
I don't know if any of them are looking at me endorsing. We just announced on Thursday, but I have garnered Jim Jordan's endorsement already. I like Donald Trump a lot. I like Ron DeSantis a lot. We need strong, decisive leadership. But you know what? We got to listen to Chris Christie last night in Allen County at the Allen County Lincoln Day dinner, and I was really disappointed because the attacks on Donald Trump by another Republican are very unfair and unfounded.
Wait, Mark. He was doing that at the Lincoln Day dinner? Chris Christie was throwing grenades at Donald Trump?
Oh, Rob, you would have... I don't know what you...
Yes.
And then, of course, announces, his favorite president's Ronald Reagan. Well, what's Ronald Reagan's, 11th commandment? And it was not the place. It was wrong to just continue to beat on the former president. Apparently, Chris Christie's going to run for president. But, and then he beats up on Ron DeSantis as well. So that's what kind of,
he went at both of them, Marlon, at the same event?
Rob, I'm telling you, you
missed something.
You would have fell on the floor. I just couldn't. I sat there in disbelief.
Marlon, well, we're so glad you're running. You got a website if people want to learn more about you running for Congress again?
Yes, you can go to either Stutzman for Congress or gomarlon.com. And, we need people's help because we know the establishment is not excited about my candidacy. And, this is going to be a fight in the primary. This is a super Republican district, and there's already candidates that Washington D.C. would love to see rather than Marlon Stutzman. So we need everybody's help. And if you check us out at stutzmanforcongress.com.
Marlon Stutzman, thank you, my friend. We appreciate you.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, just yesterday, Alvin Bragg had the loss. Today, Jim Jordan has the loss. So what's going on with the subpoena? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Indiana has a long history of pioneering education freedom and empowering families who know what's best for their children. But as universal education freedom sweeps the nation in states like Iowa, Arizona, Arkansas, West Virginia, Utah, and Florida, Hoosiers are at risk of being left behind unless we act now. Indiana lawmakers have an opportunity to ensure all Hoosiers can exercise their right to decide what education is best for their child, where they learn, how they learn. The time is now for Indiana to regain its status as a leader by delivering universal access to education freedom for every Hoosier. The time is now for Indiana to ensure our children get the education they deserve, so they can compete with every state in America and every country around the globe. Contact your state senator today and tell them now is the time to put our kids first and pass universal school choice. Paid for by Yes Every Kid.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
The once-a-year jewelry event everyone waits for is here. Starting Friday, Diamonds Direct takes value to a whole new level with an extra 20% savings on just about everything. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and more. You get Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable price, plus an extra 20% off. Thousands of engagement ring mountings included. Plus, acclaimed jewelry designers will be in store with an expanded selection. All the latest styles and trends, all on sale. It doesn't get any better than this. Diamonds Direct store-wide spring event starting Friday. Get details at diamondsdirect.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
Do bank closures, inflation rate hikes, and the roller coaster of the market frighten you as much as it does me? You need to call Oxford Gold. Securing your IRA or 401k with real gold and silver is a portfolio protection plan, and Oxford Gold has made it as easy as 1, 2, 3. One app, one call, and you pick the precious metals. That's it. You now own real precious metals. Call Oxford Gold today and learn more about the 1, 2, 3 protection plan at 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Join us this Saturday for the Home and Garden Show live from Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan from 9 to 1. Don't be a couch potato. Join us at 114th and Allisonville Road for Taste of Taters at Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan.
11:48. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Casey, it is rare that I don't know what to do. But in this case, this following segment will be an audience participation segment because I admit I don't know what to do. And that's a very uncomfortable position for me to be in because I'm just not, I always feel like I have a game plan.
You're in unknown territory.
But in the case of dealing with the abuse of finances by our legislature, and I think the thing yesterday where it comes out, hey, not only do we have this record $6 billion or whatever it is surplus, hey, we just found another billion,
$1.5 billion,
just dollars, and there's no reaction from any of them of, oh my gosh, this is so great, we can give this back to the people. Their immediate reaction, they being the Indiana Republicans.
How are we going to spend it? What are we going to spend it on?
And look, we've reached a real crisis point in this country, and we've reached a real crisis point in the state. And I think the property tax thing is just such a big deal to me because your home is yours. The government didn't do anything to help you with it. You bought it. Now, you pay for it. Mm-hmm. You've worked your life to put yourself in it. It's yours. It's where you live.
And it's the place that you go to truly be yourself.
Yeah, and that's perfect, right? And these people being the Republicans, know you're hurting. They know you've been hurting. And they don't care. Like, I'm trying to drop the bravado on this one because I'm trying to be as genuine as I can be with this because I want people to engage on this. They don't care. And I've tried every trick in the book that I know to try to get them to care. You know, we read the assessments on the air. I naively thought, okay, if they know, they'll care. They didn't care. I thought once the property tax bills showed up, they would care. They don't care. We've tried the emailing. We've tried the phone calling. We've tried.
Fought with Jim Lucas on social media.
It's just I'm tired. I'm just tired of fighting, and I want to get a win for the people.
Well, and isn't that what they want? They want you to be tired of fighting. They want you to roll over and just pay.
Right. You're right. You're right. It's their money. The Republicans now believe, without any doubt, there's no doubt, the Republicans believe your money is their money, and their job with your money is to reward donors and lobbyists and cronies and selected special interest groups and people that it is politically expedient for them to reward. Now, I think on this issue, unlike others where we shout, and I feel like sometimes I'm just shouting into the clouds, I think people would be motivated on this one because
it affects them.
Yeah, you're right. So we know very clearly now, and I have a very clear picture. It used to be, hey, call, email, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't work on this one. But I think we have a clear understanding from people who have been around a long time, hearing it from two separate people who are, I think in the sense of nobody's going to accuse Nikki Kelly or Jim Merritt of being radical grenade throwers. People who have worked in the State House, people who have covered the State House. They've both said identical things, which tells me that is the thing. If two kind of moderate, respected voices who don't have a, mean bone in their body are telling you the same thing, I'm going to say that's the thing. And they've both said the thing that will motivate these people being the Republican lawmakers. Weirdly, we don't have to worry about the Democrats. The Democrats, this is how wild, what a bizarre world we live in. And we've had them in here. Ed Delaney, Cherish Pryor. The Democrats are down to clown on property tax reform.
Right.
The problem with high taxes is it's the Republicans.
The party of fiscal conservatism.
Right.
Wait, what?
So they have both told us that the thing that will motivate these people is that we have to show up en masse at the State House and have your voice heard. Okay, I accept that. And Casey, I'm really good at telling people about stuff and getting people to go do stuff. But I got to freely admit, at the Indiana State House, I've never organized a rally. I've never organized a protest. I know there's permits you have to have. I know there's, obviously things like speakers and people to physically speak, but also speakers so people can hear you speaking. The organization, getting information around to these various, Tea Party type groups, et cetera, to get people to come. I don't know how all that works, but I'm willing to promote and support and help where I can to get people there. So we know what the thing we have to do is. We know the thing that will motivate maybe some action. But I don't know when we should do it because they're getting ready to leave. So obviously that ship has sailed. Is it the summer? Is it late spring? Is it early fall? Is it org day? I'd like to think we can maybe motivate some action this summer. I don't really want to wait till November. Some people have told me you should wait till org day, which is November. I don't really want to wait that long. But what I'm willing to do, if somebody out there who knows how this stuff works, and I'm talking legitimate people who have done these things before, if you want to call our hotline at 317-684-8444, 317-684-8444, or email me, rob@wibc.com. You can find me on Twitter at RobMKendall. I will put the full power of this show and the full power of this radio station behind helping and promoting what we do. And if you can get the nuts and bolts of this stuff down, I'll get as many people into the atrium of that State House as I possibly can. I will get as many people. I think we can get hundreds of people. I just don't know how the nuts and bolts of it actually works. But if you do, and you have some people that are willing to help you with that, or you can just do it on your own, 317-684-8444, rob@wibc.com, at RobMKendall on Twitter. We got to do something. I'm fresh out of ideas. I've come here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. How's it go? And I'm all out of bubble gum. We know what we got to do. I just don't know how to do it, so I need some help.
So this is a call for an activist who wants to pick up the mantle.
Yeah. I will help you in any way I can.
Okay.
I'm good at getting people to show up to stuff.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. Happy birthday. Have a good day off tomorrow. And thank you for listening today. We're going to count on you to be back here tomorrow. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie